A cup of Joe I've already sucked down to provide the energy and the gusto for rapid fire. We're going to kick this thing off until we get some people tuning in here about kicking off about freaking Larry Wheels' bicep tear. Very unfortunate, kicking some arse, tore the bicep, the long head of the bicep, his second tear. And, what can you say about it other than it's got to suck, right? I mean, we're talking about a guy who's 30 years old, now has double tears. So what more can we say about it other than the fact that, he had a smile on his face after the interview that he loves the freaking mixed martial arts training. He's done with the horse cockery. But has the body become too frail? At 30 years old, multiple torn tendons. I think one was from strongman, right? The other one was from throwing a punch. So you got to wonder, what could he do? Should he stop the horse cockery simply because he wants to become pencil-necked in nature with MMA stuff? Not to say MMA stuff is pencil-neck by any means. Obviously, I'm repping the tussling polo, okay? But the thing is, I watched his interview post-fight, and he said he really doesn't have the desire to lift weights like he used to. You know what I mean? He just goes to the gym a couple times just to basically half-arse it and putz around, which I think the thing is, if he wants to take his, competitive endeavor seriously, he should be horsing more than ever. You know what I'm saying? That's the thing. I was trained like a pencil neck for the first 10, 11 years of my wrestling career, and then it wasn't until I started horsing, hefting and heaving trap bar deadlifts, rack pulls, Anderson pin squats, pin presses, just immense horse cockery, sandbag training. That is what really helped me turn the corner in terms of finally feeling strong in a freaking martial art per se. I think that's where everyone gets it twisted. Everyone gets it twisted that, the gym doesn't help the scrap. And it couldn't be further from the truth. You got freaking, you got your technical skills, you got your endurance, you got your horsepower, and you got your mindset. You know what I mean? If you don't have all of these, you're never going to be special, right? And the horsepower will make up for the lack of skill. As you see, with he whooping the Vitali, how the frick you pronounce that, it's arse. I think he needs to incorporate some isometrics. All right, moving on here. Another one before people start asking questions. I'm just kicking it off. I'm like the morning radio show. You know what I'm saying? A little morning chit chat. Talk about some current events before we answer some questions. In the pro wrestling world, AJ Styles' son got a lot of flack, a lot of heat for not help build the ring. Okay, and this has been a mixed bag of responses for people saying, well, he shouldn't have to, or that's not what he's paid for, or whatever. But here's the deal, guys. This pro wrestling business is a unique endeavor, okay? He should have helped build the ring, okay? And I say this because if he ever wants to go to WWE or something, that's expected of you in development. My first brother, in NXT in development, you had to work security. You had to freaking take the tickets at the door. You had to build the ring. You had to set the freaking chairs. You had to do everything, right? And I'm assuming that's his end game. So one way or another, he's going to have to do that. And the thing is, it's a very political business. It's a very political business. So you don't ever want to rub anyone the wrong way because you never know who's going to be in charge down the road or have any say or, it's a very dog-eat-dog world. All it takes is one guy to stab you in the back. Now obviously him having AJ Styles as his dad probably is going to help a lot. But the point is, probably should get comfortable building the ring. Not even building the ring per se, but just being along in the process. In development, we had freaking 100 guys or whatever. And it doesn't take 100 people to build a ring. But everyone is there together or whatever holding, some freaking steel beams and whatnot. It's the team morale of it, basically. But then one could argue, it's but what if you get hurt? Which is actually true as well, because in development, one guy got a concussion. This big, heavy-ass steel beam fell, hit him on the head. He was out. He was a TV guy, got a concussion. So, that is a possibility. but obviously it's just part of the culture, right? Moving on. Another thing, and then we'll start answering some questions here, is Eugene. You guys know, a very popular YouTuber. First video I ever watched with him was with Dr. Mike. And I thought he was quite pencil-necked because they were talking about very pencil-necked nature topics and whatnot. Well, he reached out to Dr. Density, and he wanted to horsecock some weights. So he flew from freaking Australia to the land of snakes and gators. All right? And I taught him how to horse, heft and heave. And that's going to be a good time. I give him major kudos on that because he failed in weight, and I kept having him go up. Because here's the thing. If the safety parameters are in check, why would you not go up? What's the point of not going up? Right? I mean, because if you think about it, if it's a weight you can't do, are you really not doing it still? Or are you just doing a freaking heavy arse isometric? You know what I'm saying? So that's how you got to look at it. It's like if you fail a deadlift, you didn't fail, right? And the question is, should you go up if you couldn't lock it out? That's something, everybody would argue, no, you shouldn't. But the thing is, if you freaking hit a weight and you got it above your knees, right? That's pretty close to completing that rep. And it depends on the rep schemes. Everyone overcomplicates things with the reps and the volumes and all that. The main thing is you get in the gym, you hoist some weights with better effort than you have in the past. You hoist something bigger and better. That's freaking progress, okay? So you couldn't lock up this last one. Should you call and say, damn it, I shouldn't have gone for it. I knew I shouldn't have bumped up. Or should you throw another freaking 25 on the mix and see if you can get that sucker to, mid-shin, right? Or even if you don't break it off the floor, at least you went for it, okay? That's the biggest freaking battle. A lot of people will never go for this weight in their life, okay? And that's the hardest part, is getting the mindset that you can do this, because a lot of people, they're plateaued at a weight, and they're stuck in a plateau for a year. And I got to gain 20 pounds of body weight if I want to break this plateau. Gaining 20 pounds of body weight will help. But is that really what you need to do if you want to break the plateau? The plateau, for the most part, it's here. We all possess, probably I would say, 50 to 100 more pounds in us if we can just tap into it one way or another. And I had a guy reach out to me. I don't think I talked about this on the live stream, but I'm going to bring it up. Even if I did, I'm going to talk about this again because this is incredible. He said his max was 5 Hot Pocket enthusiasts, right? He said his max, I used to eat Hot Pockets in high school. Terrible diet. Cutting weight for wrestling. I'm like, I'll just eat a Hot Pocket. It's like 1,000% sodium, therefore making it extremely hard to cut the weight but I only had one Hot Pocket. Yeah, but you had 1,000 pounds of 1,000 pounds of sodium. You know what I'm saying? At this point, when you're cutting weight, it ain't about the calories. It's that pure water retention. So anyways, this guy's max was 5'10", but he went to a different gym and didn't realize he was using freaking 55-pound plates. So he actually put on, I believe it was 560 or so, and hit it. 50-pound PR. All because he didn't add up the weights right, okay? Now, I'm not saying that it's as simple as that all the time, but I am saying a lot of times when people are stuck in these plateaus, it's simply because you're in a mental plateau. You're being defeated in your mind before your body even has a freaking chance, all right? Let's check out some questions. Let's get to it now because this is supposed to be a rapid freaking fire, and I've talked about 0 questions so far. Although I'm never going to one-up my stream from many years ago where it was 2 hour-long stream, 0 questions answered. Frick! Vornan Machanamam said he would love to stay, but he's got to hit the gym right now, and I totally understand that. I do not want to live stream at this time, fellas. It's just it's a freaking it's a conundrum I'm stuck in right now. This is when I have the most free time. Wife and daughter aren't in my freaking, in my space. I have as much time as I want right now. I'm sucking down cups of Joe. I'm sucking down the Ricky's Rotund Raspberry, right? I'm feeling fired the frick up. So naturally, it's the best time I'm going to want to talk. So I figure this is a little pre-workout chit-chat before I hoist, heft, and heave myself. All right, spite born, frick. This man has been born with spite. He's an angry man. My man. Have you ever heard of the band? Oh, Tony Tap Dancing. Yes, I have. Absolutely. Weight horsing. Yes, I've heard of them, but I've never really given them a chance. But if you say that it's ideal for horsing, hefting, and heaving, I suppose I'll give it a listen. Mr. Doctor, Professor. Wow, so many freaking titles. Loving the Tiger Woods. Oh, gotcha. Yes, Parks and Recs vibes that you're giving. Yes. Oh, speaking of which, you're talking about Tiger Woods. It actually crossed my mind. Children of Bodom, greatest band ever. Perhaps one of the most influential in the metal scene. Absolutely. I remember when I first heard them in high school. I was like, wow, this is so fresh. You know what I'm saying? And now a lot of bands are using this the melodic, just shredding with the, thrashy death type sound. But anyways. Speaking of golf, I actually looked this up and I said, man, what endeavors can we pursue as we enter old age? That where horse cockery would also help. And you have to think, smashing a golf ball, well, yes, it's very much like boxing. It's very much like wrestling. There's obviously a lot of techniques involved, but the horsepower would absolutely help as well. You're telling me if you give me a freaking driver and I finessed that technique, I couldn't hit that sucker 600 yards? You got to think about that. So I looked up, well, how likely is it for, an old man of myself to really start specializing in golf and see if I can make the PGA Tour? And it's virtually impossible, okay? Because all these people on the tour, these guys were starting young lads, very young lads, and golf is an extremely competitive sport. But I was just thinking, because you could probably be horse cocking in your 90s in golf, The only thing that I think holds these people back is they just love sucking down whiskeys and smoking cigars, Think about if you were a jack-stacked, freaking succulent stallion that took the gym very seriously and your skills and whatnot. I feel like you could be 100 years old, still kicking arse. But anyways, that led me to the next thing, which was pickleball. Unfortunately, now all these tennis guys are going into the pickleball scene and they're ruining it because they're just turning pickleball into freaking tennis. Because the thing is, I saw there's a lot of, obviously these are celebrity pickleball games, but there's like $1 million on the line. I'm like, frick. So I bought myself a pickleball set, and this is something I want to start incorporating in my gym videos as well. I think I'm going to start lifting with people, a typical collaboration and whatnot, fellow horse cocks, obviously. And then afterwards, I'm going to challenge them with pickleball and see if I can destroy them. And that way, it kind of makes the video more interesting too, because if it's a pencil neck and I destroyed him with the hoisting, hefting, and heaving, he could always come back and redeem himself with the pickleball, right? So I think it just adds a good element. Now watch, everyone's going to rip off my freaking idea. All right, get some hearts for the stick. Yeah, appreciate that. What's the single biggest change in the mindset that you might have done in recent years that has contributed to your development and well-being? I think the biggest change in the mindset, it's that there is no failure. I think that's probably, if you want a positive change in the mindset, that would be I've made a lot of changes, okay? But that one is perhaps the Soft Spine Spirit Box, sick song. Soft spine, aka glass back, basically, right? Aka pencil neck. So that's why it's a good song, because it's like, it's an aggressive song about a soft spine, aka glass back, about aka pencil neck, right? Frick. If that doesn't motivate you to hoist, have to heave substantial loads, then nothing will. Okay. Basically, so a lot of things have changed, but you want to know the most profound one, and that's when you're horsing deadlifts and you can't lock it out. Back in the day, I would get I'm so mad, it ruined my day. I'm like, damn it! And then as I got older and wiser, I'm like, you know what? I at least went for it. I just talked about this earlier in the stream. I at least went for it, right? And if you move it an inch, that's a PR. If you move it not even an inch, but at least you went for it and you hit a heavy ass ice. There's no failure. The only failure is not trying in the first place. The only failure is not throwing more weight on the bar and trying. Now I say this, but I always have to remind you that you got to do, it's only for safe movements. If you're loading up a heavy ass back squat without safeties, then you're going for, back breaking weight where it could, in the Smith machine, for instance, where people have gotten like bludgeoned decapitation, that's not smart. But if you're doing like a pin press and bench press, hell yeah, keep throwing more weight on. if you're doing a pin squat, hell, anything where it's a dead start movement, a deadlift, a pin squat, a pin press, a freaking military press, there ain't no reason to not throw more weight on there until you freaking can't move it even an inch, right? And I think you don't see anyone doing that. Everyone's too afraid of hurting their ego. It's like, oh, nobody wants to fail in the gym. Nobody wants to fail in life. But I'm telling you, the only failure is not freaking going for it. And think about it. It's so representative of life in general in terms of the horse cockery anyways, because it's the same premise with life. If you never try, you're not going to make it very far, right? It's the same thing in the gym. You might as well throw more weight on and try. What's going to happen? You fail. A failing is not failure, right? Like if you wanted to start a business or something like that, but you don't try, you ain't never going to succeed, right? If you wanted to freaking break into some crazy dream that you had that everyone told you was unrealistic, yeah, it's freaking unrealistic. If you don't try, of course it's unrealistic. But if you freaking go for it, you want to become some freaking rock star, but you're too afraid to ever put your music out there because you don't know if it's any good, that's the failure. Fucking upload that shit every single day. Keep coming up. Keep creating. The only failure is not freaking going for it. So the same thing with the horse cockery. The only failure, say you couldn't lock it out. Say you freaking pin press and you got it this far. Damn it, bro! You got it this far. Put some more weight on. See if you can maybe you can put more weight on and move it an inch. And then you take that more weight on. You got 405 this far. Damn it! You put 425 on. You can't move it. Now you take the 20 pounds off, and maybe you got the freaking 405. So, it's everything in life is mostly up here. Like the attitude is everything. All right, frick. Can this be a regular thing? I'm trying, Brandon 01. Yeah, Brandon freaking 1931. That'd be awesome if you're 100 years old. I can't wait till we're 100 years old and we can be commenting on young Pencilnecks or whatnot. Freaking thoughts on Clarence Kennedy. Absolute horsecock. The only thing I will say about Clarence is it's kind of a shame. He seems like he's lost the itch to be the greatest. At one point he clearly wanted to be like the strongest Olympic weightlifter in the world. And I feel like he gave up on that. And I feel like it doesn't have to be all or nothing. You know what I'm saying? I know he's still hoist, and he seems like a great guy. Like, I feel like I would kick it off, or I don't know. I mean, we're opposite kind of personalities, temperaments or whatever, but I think we would mesh really well. Like I said, Eugene at Tio just came over here, and we freaking meshed great. I would say, that's a partnership that's going to be similar to me and Juji. There's a lot of good people out there, and the reason is because it's like-minded people just obsessed with getting better in the gym, right? Brett Bordelon. Any fitness goals, cardio or strength you wish you would have tested in your youth that were overlooked? Yeah, probably the mile. I wish I would have given the mile a real hard go. But my mindset was too pencil-necked, right? I was very pencil-necked in terms of my mind, right? Because even when I was wrestling heavyweight in college, I was cutting a lot of weight. I was wrestling 184. And then I decided to bump up to heavyweight. And when I was trying to bulk up, I was like, well, I can't do any cardio. I can't run. I'm trying to gain weight. But I promise you, if I would have done more cardio, if I would have been the only freaking heavyweight to actually sprint a mile or be able to do so, to embrace cardio, I probably would have been way more successful, because my biggest failure in wrestling was that I didn't believe in my conditioning. You know what I'm saying? So if I would have actually have gone all in because I was undersized. I was 220 my first year and I was 230 my second year at heavyweight. So I always mentally, I didn't think I was big enough, right? So I was already being defeated before I was wrestling, because this guy's 280 pounds. So, you know what I mean? But if I would have gone all in on the conditioning too, I probably would have lost 5 extra pounds. Who cares? But I would have had a gas tank that would have been unstoppable. So I wish I would have done that more. In terms of the strength goals, I feel like I pretty much pursued all of them. You know what I mean? So I don't regret any of that. But the cardio, absolutely. Frickin' Charles, how strong do you need to be to just stop the trolley in the trilly? What the frick does that mean? Is this an English question? The hell is a trolley and a trilly? Depends on how fast it's moving, I guess. You're going to have to ask Johnny Scientist, Johnny frickin' physics, that question. Force equals mass times speed or whatever the frick. You know, some Pencilnecks shit. Basically, the thing is you just get as big and strong as possible. You'll have a better chance of stopping the trolley. But if you're Pencilneck in nature, you bet your buns, there's zero chance you're stopping it. Do you feel like you could kill a horse with your bare hands? Or do you think, I would never want to kill a horse. A horse is a majestic creature. A horse is a very smart creature, too. I would never want to kill a horse. But I feel like if I had to, I could probably, I don't know if you could do sleeper hold. They have really thick necks. I don't know, man. A horse is a very powerful specimen. It's a lot of freaking dry, dense muscle mass. You see how vascular a horse is in person? I don't know. I think you could fight tooth and nail, but they're going to give you one swift blow and just break your ribs, smash your skull, hammer smashed face to the fullest. You know, you're really asking for a struggle. Warren Prater, just, you know, appreciate that. Helping out Dr. D. Frick. I'm new to wrestling, got my arse kicked in sparring. Of course you did. You know, it's a skill, brother. All right? Hate the feeling of losing. Good. You should hate it. They ask you, you know, do you love to win or do you hate to lose? And I think the question is you should always hate to lose, because this is a question they ask in, like, sales and business. You know, a very generic question. But, you know, love to win or do you hate to lose? I discovered the answer many moons ago. It's that I hate to lose because I expect to win. You know what I'm saying? If you love to win, that means you didn't expect, like, yes, I did it! Yes! It's like, what, you didn't believe in yourself? If you believe in yourself and you put the freaking work in, you expect to win. And when you stop expecting to win, that's when you start losing. You know what I mean? That's what happened to me, like, in college. I didn't care as much. And, you know, I was just like, you didn't want to lose. But when you don't want to lose, you lose, right? Whereas when you go into it expecting to win, it's all confidence. It's the same thing with lifting weights. If you are going for a PR and you don't know if you can do it, you might as well not. I mean, I guess it's not to say you, like, I'm saying always put more weight on, always freaking try. But, like, if this is a weight that you've, like, you locked out, 600 on the deadlift a couple days ago, and now you're going for freaking 605. You should fully expect to be able to smash that shit. You know what I mean? You shouldn't have any doubts. The doubt, when you're thinking, as you're horsing and you have any doubts, the strength is out the window. Thinking kills strength, okay? If I want to be the best, what can I do to get better at wrestling? First of all, bro, wrestling, here's the thing that nobody tells you. You only need, like, 3 things total, right? You only need to get really good at 1 takedown, or maybe 2 at best, right? You could snap down and a swing single or a sweep single or something. You know, you go to sweep, they sprawl, you snap them down. That kind of stuff. You don't need much, right? On the top, like, or I don't know what style you're wrestling, but like freestyle, gut wrench, Greco, gut wrench. You don't need much. You just got to get really good at what you do. So this is where I think that young wrestlers and stuff really they end up wasting their time. And I was the same way as a kid. You're trying to learn every fancy trick in the book. Like, this is a really cool move. You know, they had clinic moves, the moves that you learn at camps. That's like, wow, I've never seen, that's really cool. You know, I'm going to work on this throw. I'm going to work on this fireman's. I'm going to work on this swing single. I'm going to work on this high crotch, this double leg. I'm going to work on, this 2-on-1. Like, I'm working on this arm drag. There's so many things. But, like, if you just, it's the same thing as strength. Brother, it's all the same. It's all the same. With strength, if you're trying to get strong at 10 different things at once, you're probably not going to get strong in any of them. You might get okay at 10 things, but you're never going to be amazing at any of them. It's the same thing with wrestling. If you freaking pick a couple things or even one thing to finesse that, like, all the best wrestlers really only had one odd. Jordan Burroughs, just blast double. Cael Sanderson, ankle picker, low single, whatever the frick it was. They have just one thing that they're really good at, and it works every time. So that would be my advice. Don't overcomplicate it. And strength and conditioning. Conditioning is the most important, because if you have a gas tank and you can go, you can beat anyone. Strength is super important. This is why I talked about Larry Wheels at the beginning. he's like doesn't care about strength. He just wants to focus on his boxing and wrestling training now. It's like, well, strength is going to help you so much because you're an amateur with your skills right now. So that strength, your skill is down here and your strength is here. If your strength starts going down and your skill is not coming up as fast as your strength is going down, now as a total wrestler, you're like here. Whereas if your strength was here, but your skill was here, you're going to be more, so you're going to be better off. You get what I'm saying? The strength makes up for the lack of skill. Now, obviously, having both is ideal, but be strong as frick, have a good gas tank, and perfect like 1 or 2 takedowns. That's it. Don't overcomplicate it. Warren Prayer had a slap tear, labrum tear repair in 2023. Now I've re-injured myself. Frick! Again from overhead press. 99% sure I have a tear again. I'm in the same boat. I almost want to try to fix it on my own. Listen, if it's a tear, you don't want to do anything that makes it worse, but I kind of agree with you that like before you go in or have to get surgery, like it's like the same thing with like a meniscus, or it's the same thing if you just tore your ACL. Like if you tore your ACL, but everything else is intact, like a lot of people don't even really need an ACL for everyday life. If you're a football player or a soccer athlete or wrestling or something, you're gonna need an ACL. But like just to go to the gym and do leg extensions and stuff, you probably don't need it. Like, I mean, you need, I mean, obviously it helps, but you can get by without it. Like I know plenty of people that had a torn ACL for like 10 years and didn't even realize it. Same with the torn meniscus. Now the thing is, if you tear your ACL and your meniscus together, you're not gonna be able to walk, right? So it's the degrees on the tears. But I do agree with you. Like if you're not sure if you've totally torn it and it's like it just doesn't feel very good, I would just train around it. And if anything, it's good because it's gonna force you to train differently. That's what I'm doing right now. Like I have this groin pull strain, which is taking forever to heal. So this is great. I'm glad that you asked this because I was trying to train around it like lower body wise. And I just felt like I kept aggravating it. So eventually I'm like, I got to just lay off my lower body for as long as it takes. Pencil neck, lower body, Johnny chicken legs. I don't care because it's forcing me to train my upper body so unique in a way like I never would because I'm doing it every single day. And the thing is I can't flat bench because my upper bicep, not nearly as bad as Larry Wheels, I just have a partial, but like flat bench bothers me. Well, flat bench was always my go-to pressing. That was where I was my strongest. Very strong flat, subpar incline, right? So now all I can do is incline and overhead press. So it's forcing me to specialize in these movements that I sucked at before. So if I ever can get back to flat, I want to be such a better overall, well-rounded, developed freakazoid because I am being forced to train stuff I didn't normally train before. Do you understand what I'm saying? So in your case, you're going to have to train, you're going to have to find unique ways to train your shoulders, unique ways to press. Your pulling is probably going to feel differently. And I would argue that's a good thing, as long as you obviously don't tear it way worse, which I don't think you will, because you're going to feel like discomfort is one thing. Pain, you don't train through pain, right? Obviously. So as long as you keep that premise in your mind, you're probably going to be better off. And then even if like a year from now or whatever, like, I got to get this thing fixed or whatever it is, like it's good that you did this and you put it off anyways. Otherwise, you're putting yourself through surgery and recovery and you didn't really gain anything from it. It just sucks. At least this way you can look at it optimistically. Well, this is forcing me to change up what I do, which is never a bad thing. I think that's always a good thing to be forced to change up the way you train. We need a reaction video to Rick De La Stick's greatest lifts. I will say this, guys. I will say this. It's a mindset. I mean, I've said this for, freaking 10 goddamn plus years. And I say that because when I was 50 pounds lighter or 40 pounds lighter or whatever, I was, Zercher deadlifting, behind the back deadlifting. Jefferson did, arguably maybe stronger than I am now. I'm bigger and stronger now. But my lifts are some of those, not all of them. Some of them were freaking stronger. And why? Because of the mindset I had, the aggression, the drive, the focus. And that's why I say this a lot of times too. Like, you don't be so caught, like people go, if I just gain 20 more pounds, I can put X amount of pounds on my bench and stuff. It's like, yes, but you don't need to. You just need to find ways to manipulate your mindset, to have a focus, desire, drive. Focus, desire, drive, passion is going to take you way farther than anything else. And that goes in sports, that goes in hoisting, that goes in in jobs. You know what I mean? Like you could be the dumbest dumbass at your job, but if you are freaking driven, you'll do better off than Johnny Genius. You know what I'm saying? Because he doesn't have the freaking drive. Same thing with the sports, right? Hard work always beats talent, obviously, but talent and hard work is supreme, okay? But it's freaking true, man. It's freaking true. And I've seen it a million. Wrestling's a great example of that because you always see this, this freaking young genetic freak, but then you got the kid that just doesn't quit and he comes back and beats, the former champion. What's the biggest animal you think you could take with your bare hands? Probably is a giraffe, okay? Because they're very long pencilnecks, so I feel like that one would be easy enough to strangle. But again, I wouldn't want to. It's a majestic creature. I would rather help the animal than strangle it. You know what I'm saying? And that's why all of my scenarios would be, would you have the strength? A lot of endangered animals out there, and could you hoist them to freedom? Thoughts on starting strength, Mark Rippett. I talked about this a couple streams ago, I think, but I think overall it's good. If you're a beginner, it's freaking good. If you haven't done 5x5 in a while, it's good. I don't think it should be a staple. I don't think any program should be a staple for anyone because I feel like that's how people end up getting stagnant, plateaued, getting sick of their training. And when you're sick of your training, you're never going to be peak freak strength because you just don't want it. It comes down to desire. It comes down to enthusiasm. So I think starting strength, if you're if you're a noob, it's great. Do it for a bit, a month or so, 2 months. So, I think 5-3-1 is also, that's the thing. I was almost gonna say it's better. I don't think it is better. I don't think anything's better. I think these are things to sprinkle in because they're all around the same concept. Big compound movements with heavy weight. Frick. There you go. You don't need, the rep scheme doesn't really even matter that much. The progress obviously does. And how do you make the best progress? You attack it with freaking gusto. And how do you do that? You're got to be enthusiastic about it. So I think it's good. I think you do it for a month. I think that would be solid. Any tips for building front squat horsepower? Absolutely. I usually push a heavy double or triple than some lighter volume, but getting stuck at heavy weights. I feel like I did front squats for a bit and absolutely have some. So basically, the upper back is the limiting factor, right? Like once it gets hard, you're rounding. You can't hold posture. Brother, I'm the most freaking out of the box thinker there is. So I would say something like this. It's that core strength that breaks down that makes you fail the reps. It's not the leg drive, right? Because you can obviously back squat way more because if you round, you can still lock it out. I think it sounds stupid, but some stuff that El Campeon does is so stupid and meme worthy and whatnot. But how he wears 2 belts, and I'm not saying you should, but this is why I say this. Spud Inc. sent me a belt or whatever because I'm always wearing their belt and whatever. Like, oh man, thanks. So here's our new belt, and I'm like, I don't really like this new belt the way I like the belt that I always wear from them. So I have my normal belt, but then I'm like, well, I got this whatever new belt anyways. So for shits and giggles, dude, I put the new belt high up. Like I have the old belt where I normally wear it, and then I put the new belt right above it because it gave me this exoskeleton. I didn't front squat with it, but I did Romanian deadlifts just for shits and giggles, and I ended up getting 2 more reps than at this time. My strength at this time was, I believe, normally I was, 675 Romanian deadlift for a few reps, and I think I got it for 5 or 6 with the double belt on, or so, it was something like that. So it helps your brace. Now, obviously, it's kind of ridiculous because you don't want to be that guy at the gym that's double belting up and whatnot. But I'm saying these are out of the box ideas for your front squat. If you can provide more core stability, you could also do the pillow or the towel. Wear your belt, stuff a pillow or a towel in your belt so that it helps you not crunch as much, so that when you're front squatting, you're not folding over as much, right? That's another out of the box idea. Heavy unracks, just holding it, because a lot of it, I feel like, is nervous system too. So when you're going for a heavy weight and you're like, holy buckets, that's heavy, like your body wants to kind of shut down. It's a safety mechanism. It doesn't want to hoist those huge loads. So do super heavy unracks, and this is what all the weightlifters do too. Like Chinese weightlifting team, they all do this. So I would I would do that as well. I would absolutely use reverse bands. Absolutely. I would do different box heights as well. Tennis balls wrapped behind the knees. Absolutely. You could try that. But don't shy away. I will say this too. Don't shy away from a high box squat. I feel like, lifting culture kind of sucks, right? In the sense that everyone kind of shits on certain things because they learn, oh, you gotta squat ass to grass. That's not parallel. You want 3 red light. Who cares? You know what I mean? Everything is a phase. Everything has a purpose. So you could do a freaking quarter rep front squat. If you do it with 100 more pounds, you're feeling 100 more pounds in your upper back, and you're getting a little more comfortable with that. And you can slowly increase the range of motion as well. Just kind of like reverse engineer it. You don't have to do naked ass, raw, full depth ass to grass, right? I would argue that is great, but it's very easy to plateau. And once you plateau, like, you're gonna have to come up with all the tricks in the book to break through it. And I don't think it's just changing your programming. Yes, that'll help a little bit, but not nearly as much as, like I said, stuff a pillow between your belt, use reverse bands, do freaking quarter rep squats or half reps, weight releasers. Obviously, I'm always going to throw those out there. Pin squats, like dead stop front squat. Thoughts on doing nothing but dips, pull-ups, and barbell rows for the upper body. I think that would be awesome. I think that would work great. Been doing that for 2 years, and the gains are great, never injured. Yeah, I believe it. You don't really need much more, I mean, I would say what you're missing, though, is overhead press, right? I think you should do handstand push-ups, because if this is probably just a matter of, well, you got a barbell row, so why not do an overhead press? But you know what? Handstand push-up would probably be better than overhead press anyways. So then you got your calisthenic, your dip, your pull-up, your handstand push-up. And then your row. I mean, yeah, row's fine. Yeah, that's all good. I think it's great. I think, it's not what you do, it's how you do it. You know what I mean? If you're doing it with freaking intensity, those movements are perfect. I don't think you need to, I think you should have a chest-supported T-bar row thrown in there. You should get a unilateral Strive Fitness modular tricep extension machine. You know what I mean? You don't need any of it. You can do freaking push-ups, push-ups and squat jumps and be freaking stacked and jacked. If you do it long enough or you eat enough, and right? Have you thoughts anymore about starting your own private gym? I think it would work, but curious to hear your thoughts. I talked about this a couple streams ago. Yes, but the thing is, gyms are very hard. It's very hard to have a successful gym unless it's like truly a niche gym. But even then, listen, you got so many gyms. You got Planet Shitness, LA Shitness, EOS now or whatever, 24-hour Shitness. You got, there's a lot of, and they're all charging cheap, $15 for just mega 100,000 square footage. So it's got to be something very unique. And that's why I was thinking, like an outdoor gym, so outdoor gym. You don't need much. You just need something that's got some good sunlight and a little bit of a tent roof when it rains. But I don't see those anywhere. And I feel like if there was an outdoor gym in my area, even if it had very little equipment, I'd freaking do it. I'd go because I love lifting outside. I love it. It feels great. All right. Let's see. Oh, thank you for being my friend. Would you set up a P.O. box for fans, vendors to send you stuff, unboxing videos? I should have done that years ago. Yeah, I probably should do that. It's a good idea. I'll look into it. Thank you, brother, for recommending that. Because it's just easy content, too. Best forearm workout. I feel like my biceps and triceps are blowing up, but my forearms are lacking. Yeah. I've kind of jumped on that kick as well. Because it's so true. And I've noticed when I'm at the gym, if I'm getting this bulbous biceps and tris, it's okay. But it's not until I blow up my forearms and then I look in the mirror, I'm like, holy bananas. You know what I'm saying? Where the vascularity is exploding and the thickness. You know, because when you pump your arms, you put like an inch on. You're telling me you can't put almost an inch on your forearms with a solid pump too? Of course you can. So here's what I'm going to recommend. But unfortunately, I don't know if people sell it anymore. But I use it every single day now. I made a video or Instagram story the other day mentioning this, that I need to change something up in my training. So I think I'm going to really focus on building behemoth, colossus, turkey leg drumstick forearms. So I have this tool that it's called the Sidewinder Extreme. It's a long shaft and it's spring loaded. So it has resistance both with the flexion and the extension. So I do that between my sets now, and the pump is insane, okay? And I was very sore the next day. But I know most people don't have that. So an easy thing to do would be get some sort of fat handle, fat grip to throw on your dumbbells for your curls, for your triceps. Yes, I said triceps as well, like the rope push downs, kind of a pencil neck movement. You throw some girthy handles on there, it's not pencil neck anymore because now you're getting a forearm pump as well as the tris. Face pulls with the handles. I mean, you throw them on anything basically, and it's an easy way that it doesn't take up any of your training time. It's like, why would you not do that? Freaking fat grip pull-ups, fat grip, throw the fat grips on for your Romanian deadlifts, your deadlifts for the light pencil neck sets. Take them off when the sets get heavy. That's probably the easiest thing you can do. I have this exercise I created as well. The Dirty Del Hagen. I don't know what I showed it to Eugene. Unfortunately, you'll have to wait till his video comes out or whatever because I just don't ever make content anymore. You know what I'm saying? It's a great exercise though. I basically looped a resistance band around a 45-pound plate. And they have the machines that like some gyms have it where it's like this freaking movement. You know what I mean? You grab it and you go like this. Like whatever, I don't know, arm wrestling, whatever the frick machine it's for. So basically, when you're hooking up this band to this plate, it's the same thing. And it feels sick, like just brachioradialis pump through the freaking roof. So that's something I'm doing at home too. I might actually start this fat grip stuff. I mean, you don't really need much more than that, in my opinion. Yeah, I don't think you need the grippers or anything like that. Bring a towel to the gym. All right. Do pull-ups with the towel or put the towel under or through a heavy-ass dumbbell or something. Do hammer curls with the towel. Right, there you go. That would get you blown up forearms. See some horsecock and zerchers. No, well, listen, brother, I got the groin issue going on right now. It's getting better, though. I will say it's getting better. I'm kind of returning back to horsecockery. It's just going to be a while until I'm really mustering up some cojones to do the frickin' heavy deads again. But I think it's time. I think I'm getting there. That's the stick method. You fail, you add more weight. Absolutely. Are these comments super old? Because I feel like that's from way back. Let me update this chat. Oh, frick. Oh, shnikes. What happened to the Russian guy who taught you behind the back deadlifts? I know how you met, but what about after? Dude, I don't know, man. He's a mystery. I couldn't find him online or anything. It makes you wonder. You know what I mean? Like, what does he really do? Why is he so mysterious to find? Because, I don't want to, come up with any conspiracies or whatnot, so I won't say anything. But it is a bit strange. He's just disappeared. Heard a climber recommend putting foam between the fingers and inside the palm, squeezing repeatedly for grip strength. Oh, that sounds kind of pencil neck though. For like high volume, I guess if you're a climber, you got to train your hands like all day. So I suppose that maybe makes sense, but sure. I don't think that's going to get you just tremendous girth as fast as possible, but maybe. I mean, we're talking about these like 100 rep sets. Maybe squeezing foam for 100 rep sets is a good, maybe it is. Frick, I'm sorry, I'll take it back. Maybe that is a good tip. And those climbers got some serious grip strength, so who am I to knock that? Absolutely. Gain 100 pounds and take over the sumo world. You know what's funny about sumo is there actually is like a sumo wrestling dojo or whatever around here. But it's just like, I don't know. It's sumo wrestling, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it just seems like not nearly as cool as just like Greco-Roman wrestling. Or is it almost the same thing? I don't know. But then you got to wear the thong and whatnot. It just seems a bit strange. But I don't know. Maybe I'm being a pencil neck. Maybe I should try it out. If nothing else, it would make for a good video to just go to the sumo dojo and either kick some arse or somehow have some just obese, morbid, fat frick just decimate me somehow. I don't think that's possible. I mean, but it could be. If I don't have, you know what I mean? Like they're just a big ball of fat mass that's really explosive with shoving me out of that angle. I guess it could perhaps, maybe I would get my arse kicked. But I would fucking, excuse my language, I would fight tooth and nail to figure out how to get better. That's the thing, I get obsessed. We all hate losing, right? That's the thing. That's what the other guy earlier comment said. Hates losing. Good. If you hate losing, like you got to train with the fear of losing. And I think that's why a lot of times people are like, oh, well, how do I, my training's gotten a little flat. What do you recommend I do? And it's like, well, I guess just sign up for something or compete in something, because as human nature, I feel like we should all have the absolute fear and despair of potentially losing. And that will give you this gusto and fire to train way harder than you would if you didn't have the fear of losing. Now, if you don't have a fear of like losing, like if you're okay losing, you got a terrible mindset. Like you shouldn't want to lose, you know what I'm saying? Now, I'm saying losing, and I'm not saying failure, because failing a heavy ass set, there's nothing wrong with that. Don't be afraid of that, right? But another man dominating you, oh my God, I'll train so hard to ensure that doesn't happen. Ever consider competing in real American freestyle? I mean, dude, if I had someone to train with and I could see how much rust I actually have and if my knees and whatnot can handle it, I absolutely would. Why? Of course I would. I'm just freaking like, I haven't wrestled in over 10 years now. So in your minds, we're like, oh, I easily got it. I could easily tussle. But then you actually do it and like, I don't know, like, oh, you know what I'm saying? Just made of sheer rust. Just so like a middle school wrestler. Don't even know how to like take shots anymore and stuff. I don't know. I tried wrestling. People say, hey, where's the wrestling content? You said you're going to wrestle. I tried, dude. I texted this one guy who was an All-American. So he was good. It's not like I'm just trying to wrestle with some schmucks. And I said, hey, would you ever be willing to wrestle? Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. I was like, okay, do you know anywhere to do it? Yeah, I got the keys to a wrestling room. I'm like, well, frick. I'm like, you want to do it tonight? He's like, oh, I'm out of town. I'm like, okay, well, when do you get back? And he's like, oh, I'll get back then. So I texted him then, and he ghosted me. And he's like, oh, sorry about that. I had something. And then I texted him again a couple days, and he ghosted me. He's like, oh, sorry about that. And I texted him again, and he ghosted me. And I'm like, fuck this. I'm not doing this. I'm not going to be like begging, please let me wrestle you. Just getting ghosted. Like, I know I can read between the lines. You know what I'm saying? We're all humans. When people aren't responding to you, it's not like rocket science. I became a curvaceous custodian because of the short video talking about being a jacked janitor. Wow, brother. That's awesome. Good. I hope that's working out well for you. The freaking mop, gripping the mop, cleaning the toilets with the freaking getting the forearms and whatnot. I feel like that's a better job than people realize. I don't know, but I just feel like it's probably not a bad job at all, because you kind of like, you're not really answering to many people, right? Like you're the head honcho, and you're just doing just manly shit, cleaning and fixing stuff. Tom Platt squat workout. Shouldn't we all? Yes, we should try that. People leave weight plates and benches and stuff with leg extension attachments at my job I can take for free. No kidding, that's awesome. Free equipment. Started squatting ass to grass, immediately got injured. So this is one of those things. It's like, if it works for you, it's good. If it doesn't work for you, you shouldn't do it. And I say this because I was always an ass to grass squatter. And then when I hurt my knee or whatever, I couldn't do it anymore. And I was trying to, and every time I would try, it would set my knee back, like it would hurt my knee. And I was like, I just don't think I can do it anymore. When I hurt my meniscus, it's like, I think a lot of it's, you know what I mean? Like some people are built to do it, their knees, their structures, their meniscuses and whatnot. Other people, like if you even have a partially torn meniscus, which I think a lot of people have, you can't do it. You can't go that low. So, and that's the thing. It's like, well, how low should you go? I mean, does it really, unless you're competing, does it really matter? Go as low as you comfortably can. You know, and if anything, use a box. I think the West Side style box squats, where you reach back with your hips and you sit, reach back, get a little rock, and you go back up. I mean, I think those are superior to any other form of squatting. Now, obviously, you can say, well, it's not superior if you're an Olympic weightlifter or you're a power lifter or whatnot, because you got to get comfortable sitting in the hole. But like for most people, they're not competing. So you're just squatting away where you can move maximum freaking tonnage in a comfortable means possible. Because that's what's going to build muscle and strength, right? Move a lot of weight in a way that doesn't hurt you. If it hurts you, how's that going to end in the long run? Oh, it doesn't feel good on my knees, but everyone says I have to do it. Well, what do you think is going to happen if it doesn't feel good and you keep doing it? How do you deal with getting the stink eye for holding the squat rack for a long period of time? You just hoist huge loads. And then you can ask them if they want to work in. And if they can't keep up, then that's on them. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're taking up the rack, like if you were doing Pencilnecks shit in the rack and you're getting the stink eye, you probably should just give the person the rack. All right. This is a very common mindset I have lately, because I haven't been hoisting tremendous loads, but I'm trying to do like high volume kind of stuff, like just get a good sweat, you know, almost circuit training in a way when I go to the gym, just to keep my heart rate up, you know, whatever. Kind of pencil neck, but I'm doing what I can until I get healthy and can horse again. And I'll be using shit and I'll be doing stuff, and somebody will be like, how many more sets do you have? And I'm like, just freaking have it. You know what I mean? Just freaking have it. I can work around it. I don't need it. I don't need anything. It's like what we talk about with push-ups and handstand push-ups, and you don't need any equipment. You can do anything. So if somebody really wants a piece of, you know, equipment that you're using, let them have it. It makes you adapt to the freaking situation. You know what I mean? And that's really what's going to, how able are you to adapt to circumstances, right? The guy's not going to be on the machine forever. If you want it, freaking do something else, work in, find a way to justify why you're not using it for that time, or have him work in with you and use it as a means to freaking, you know, kind of subconsciously compete. Like, oh yeah, work in, and then you just double their weight every set, and then they're probably gonna be like, oh, I'm good now. You can, you know what I mean? Because you just freaking destroyed them, right? Or if they're giving you the stink eye when you're in the rack the whole time, be like, oh yeah, you want to work in, right? And if they're too weak, then they can't. They shouldn't be giving you the stink eye anyways. Or maybe they're Johnny Horsecock, and then that should freaking fire you up to try a little bit harder. And if they are Johnny Horsecock, you probably want to befriend that guy anyways, because birds of a feather flock together. And don't you want to be Johnny Horsecock as well? Got some bands finally, and it's taking my bench to the next level. It is. This is what I'm saying. Why do people not use bands? Like, it's not just like a freaking powerlifting thing. You know, like, oh, I don't train West Side. I don't use bands. Like, okay, that's stupid. The bands are absolutely going to help you hoist way more weight, thus changing your freaking perception of this weight, thus strengthening your mindset and leading to bigger, better gains. Do I still draw from time to time? Honestly, I have not. I haven't drawn in like a year or so, which is a shame because I do enjoy it. And I do find that it's like the arts, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're freaking right, man. You just reminded me. Frick! I'm going to start doodling again in the morning, maybe a cup of joe and a doodle, or before going to the gym, because I do find that it's kind of freeing in a way, liberating. You're using this, the right side of your brain. And listen, isn't that what it's all about? Improving mind, body, soul, you know, biceps and brains. Just a lot of comments. Can't keep up. Appreciate all these comments though, guys. Where are these freaking comments? How can you build dense, hard muscle? Is it better to use free weights or machines? I mean, they both have their purpose. Obviously, if you had to choose one or the other, the free weight's always gonna be better than the machine. But not always. Sometimes some machines allow you to hoist, you know, in different leverages and whatnot that might get you a little extra gains. But for the most part, the free weights, the free weights are going to build more strength than the machine. And the strength that you build from the free weights, you can apply to the machines then and like double your gains basically. Whereas machine only bros, and I've seen a lot of arguments, people are like, oh, machines don't build strength, you say? And then they do like a 405 pound deadlift. Like, how am I able to do this? It's like, well, that's not very good. If you were to use more free weights, you probably have a 495 deadlift or a 500 or 585 deadlift or something. Not to say that machines there's application for them as well. But I personally, if there was any sort of guideline to go off of, it's start the workout with a big free weight movement and then do the machines after. I don't think there's any point in starting with the machine. Because I've done it all, guys. I used to start with machines too because I was like, well, I'm going to warm up the muscles on this machine and then I'm going to go to the free weight. But I feel like it's not a good system because then you're kind of fatiguing muscles in a way, and then you're going to use. I just feel like you always want to do the most important movements first. This is very common philosophy, If you're freaking pressing that day, start with the overhead. Maybe start with some, chicken wings and swimming and stuff like that. Very light. Don't overdo it. Don't fatigue yourself too much. Hoist the largest load possible, and then go to the freaking machines and burn it out there. Because machines are easy. Machines are easy to do extended intensity sets, drop sets, 2 up, 1 down, that kind of stuff. You can't really do that. You can't do that with free weights as easily. So you freaking build the strength with the free weights and you squeeze out every last bit of intensity with the machines. All right. I think that's the way to go. If you got the option of both. But like I said, you don't really need one or the other. Ideally, you did the free weights. But even if you went to a gym that only had machines, it's still nothing wrong with that. But why would you do that? You can do push-ups, you can do pull-ups still, And I will say this, guys. I will say this as well. Pistol squats are kind of pencil neck in a way, but also you got to be strong to do them, and you got to be mobile to do them. And I've lost the ability to do them, probably because I stopped doing them, and I guess absolute strength or relative strength has probably gone down. But I used to be able to do pistol squats with 100 extra pounds added, and that's probably when I was 40 pounds lighter or so, but my behind the back deadlift and Jefferson and trap bar and Zercher were all pretty much as strong as they are now. So I'm well, they're a pencil-like movement. I'll just lunge or squat or whatnot. But it's but nothing is truly pencil neck. It's the pencil neck is the attitude, the application. So I just feel like that is an easy thing that we should all start incorporating a little bit more as well. Because a single leg body weight squat, if you can bang out a set of 10 of those, you got some freaking strong quads. Right. And it is a good quad movement because you're obviously to do them, you got to round your back or whatever. And a tremendous knee drive. It's good. It's a good movement. I guess I'm just throwing that out there. Not that there's any context other for the pistol squat, but I would challenge you to see if you can do them. And if you can, use it. Otherwise, you'll lose it. I'm speaking from experience. Peter Parente. I still look as beautiful as the first day. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. People don't realize how old I am. It's a freaking shame. I've been in this game for a long time. It's just bittersweet, you know what I mean? I'm the old guy now on YouTube. But I got to take pride in it because you know what I mean? Are people going to there's people are afraid of getting old. I get questions all the time from people that are turning 30, by the way. And age is honestly it's all perspective, right? Age is a number, yes. But also biologically, you can be younger than your number. But that's not even the point I'm getting at. I get messages all the time from people turning 30. And they're oh, how do I ensure I don't I don't know, don't want to lose my gains, or I'm having a hard time coping with that or whatever. And it's just crazy how you don't realize, like when you're a teenager, you're a baby. When you're in your 20s, you're still a freaking kid, basically, right? When you're 30, you're finally starting to like grow up and figure things out a little bit. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know what's to come for the 40s for sure. But I think we all dread it every new decade. Like, I can't believe I'm getting so old. And then you realize, and you're like, oh, wow, life is better. Because you're figuring it out. You know what I mean? It's like anything else, like playing a sport or it's playing a game or it's, you figure it out. You're becoming more wise. Figuring out life, this thing we call life. And unfortunately, by the time you truly figure it out is the day you wither away and die. Yeah. Anyways, greater specimen's about to go destroy his legs. Well, thank you for tuning in, brother. I wish you superior horse cockery. What? Guy Tan Bar? When are you going to restock your merch? What are you talking about, bro? Restock the merch. Okay, that's funny, actually. I knew somebody was going to say this. So I actually had this pile of fresh, clean laundry. The Horse Force shirt. Okay, this one. This is a great shirt. This thing's basically sold out. And it's just between the lines here. I pledge allegiance to acts of extreme horse cockery. That's being part of the Horse Force. I think there's like 5 of these left. Look at that. Look at that art. Look at the striations. Okay? All this art is designed by yours truly. Okay? And I say this because I don't ever want to be a pencil neck nor encourage pencil neckery. EQUINE by Design. Here's another horse. These are 100-pound plates. I said, listen, I want 100-pound plates on. We're going to fully load it. It's got to be at least a 1,000-pound squat. Because if you're not pursuing, if you're trying to get strong and you don't have 1,000 pounds, like, are you going to have this horse, you know what I mean? Because there's only 5 plates per set. $4.95, like, get the frick out of here. All right, EQUINE by Design, fully stocked. Also, the original, the thick horse cock, okay? Thick horse, this shirt is in fully stocked in black, every size. So I don't know what you're talking about. Also, this fanny pack, I've been wearing this thing for 3 years now, all right? All the time in the gym, this fanny pack, horsecock, thickest straight horsecock, is still standing strong. No zippers broken, right? I've washed it a bunch of times, but I gotta wash it again. But the horsecock is still intact, fully stocked. Okay, and that's a great fanny pack. And I know this because I wear a lot of fanny packs. That's a solid fanny pack. And I will say that I've looked up fanny packs recently online. And everything's getting so freaking expensive. So I got that fanny pack there. I think it's like, I'm selling it for like $23.99. Because at times I'm like, I don't know, do I have to like decrease the price or put it on sale or something? But at this point now, all these fanny packs I'm seeing online are like $30. These companies are greedy. Okay? But that's a solid fanny pack. So anyways, that merch, brother, is all in stock. Any new carb-heavy snacking tidbits you've concocted recently? Well, here's what I'll say about the carb-heavy snacks. I've gone back and forth on this one. And it's amazing how I've stopped doing it because now I'm doing it again, and it's a game changer, guys. First and foremost, creatine. I'm going to talk about this. I switched from monohydrate to hydrochloride, creatine hydrochloride, just because you don't need much, like, you know, creatine, 5 grams, 10 grams, 20 grams, you know, they say more is always better, whatever. For hydrochloride, it's like 750 milligrams is a serving. So if you take like 3 or 4 pills, you know, like the concrete creatine, I'm like, well, just for consistency, I'll just take it in a couple pills at night before I go to bed, right? I've switched back to monohydrate, and here's why. Because I got carb powder again. Because I decided I'm trying to get bulbous and full. So, and I remembered, I remember one of the first supplements that I tried that actually worked really well back in the day. When I worked at GNC, and they had closed-dated EAS phosphagen high performance ultra creatine, but it was like expiring, and I had like an employee discount, so I bought like all of them for like it was like $10 a tub or whatever. I didn't really know, but it was basically just dextrose and creatine and like, I don't know, maybe taurine or something. But anyways, because I had so much, I was taking a few servings of this a day, And I actually noticed for the first time the creatine. I'm like, wow, this actually works. Because, normally taking creatine, you're like, I don't really know if it does or anything or not. But I mean, obviously it makes sense because it was just basically creatine and sugar, dextrose, right? But what a difference that made. Like, I think I put like 10 pounds on and I felt so much stronger. So I don't know why just now I'm like, why don't I try? So I had like some Vitargo carb powder. I've had Carbolin. But anyways, I'm like, you know what? Screw this creatine hydrochloride pills. I'm going back to monohydrate. So now I'll have like 100 grams of these carbs and I'll mix in like 10 to 20, sometimes 20 if I'm feeling like a sicko. But always at minimum 10 grams of creatine monohydrate in it too. And I feel, I mean, granted it's only been like a week or maybe 2 weeks now, but like, again, I feel like when I was that young man where I'm like, wow, like I finally am maybe noticing something from this creatine. Now, the thing is I'm not weighing myself because I basically haven't been training my legs, and my legs have probably lost substantial mass, so I don't even want to know what I weigh. But so the tidbit is whether it's probably maltodextrin would work fine, dextrose, super highly branched cyclic dextrin if you want to pay $1 million, Vitargo, waxy maize, whatever the frick, any just, 100 grams of carbs, whatever carb of your choice, honey, and mix in freaking 10 to 20 grams of creatine monohydrate. Drink that sucker while you're lifting, and you're just, I mean, obviously, it's just like, why would you not do that? Unless you're trying to get stripped and ripped. But even then, like, why would you not want to fuel your workout more successfully? Because if you think about it, all these simple carbs, just straight energy. Yeah, you got the coffee, you got the pre-workout, whatever. You got the freaking energy. But this is like the real, you know what I'm saying? This isn't the freaking adrenals working overground. This is the real, 100 grams of simple carbs, 400 calories of energy while you're working out. It's spiking your insulin probably because it's so much, simple carbs. This insulin spike is, going to keep you from being super catabolic during your 2-hour workout of hoistery or whatnot. And because you're getting this big insulin spike from the 100 grams of simple carbs, that's helping to like shuttle that creatine more efficiently. Like, why would you not do that? Right? So that's my thing that I've just started doing again. I don't know why I ever stopped. Young Pomsky, Dr. Densey, I'm a recovering alcoholic. A large part of sobriety is due to me being excited to lift weights every day and have you to thank. Well, I mean, that's awesome to hear, brother. I mean, that's great to hear. Alcohol is just like, I mean, I know some people can drink it and be fine and whatnot, but like, I don't understand how it's like the only inebriating, debilitating drug, essentially, that's like totally fine. Obviously, yes, you can drink responsibly in a way, but a lot of people can't, and then they destroy their lives and the addiction of it as well. Not because it's like super addicting in itself, like, ooh, I need more of it, but because, and I can speak from this from experience. When I was working sales, cold calls or whatever, way back in the day, I hated my life. And one of the, I don't know, like this shows you how young and naive I was, but I was like, oh, like I hate doing this so much. I'm just going to drink some beer while I do it to take the edge off. I hated it so much. And then I found I would end up drinking like, 6 beers every night. And it was just like, that's how really bad habits start. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't because like, oh, I just crave it, but it ended up becoming a crutch. Like, wow, I can't work unless I get a little buzzed. You know what I'm saying? So like, thank God that I quit that job eventually, because that would have led me down a horrible, horrible path. 6 beers would have turned into 10, it would have turned into 20, would have turned into like the alcohol withdrawal shakes every morning. You know what I'm saying? Like it was, so, kudos. And I feel like a lot of us are just like, that love, addicted to training, have addictive personalities anyways. So like, if you're going to be addicted to, booze or drugs or whatnot, you're the perfect person for horse cocking, because you're getting a high from that. You know what I'm saying? Like and it feels good, right? And it's rewarding in a sense. Like you're bettering yourself, and you're not destroying your well-being, basically. So good to hear, brother. Ever think about getting into arm wrestling? I feel like you love the niche, yeah, but learn the technique, yeah. So this is the thing about arm wrestling, is it is a lot of technique from my understanding, and it's a ton of it takes a ton of time to build up the tendons, and it's like any other sport, really. Like you have to practice this and go all in if you want to be successful with it, right? It's not just like, oh, I'm a strong guy. Like you need to find people to work with, to scrap with in the tussle. Like that's why these guys, like, they just do it. They just challenge one another. They spar with one another all the time. And like Eugene did it for a bit, and he was saying like it just destroyed his weightlifting because he had such bad tendinitis, like, and it was really bad for his lifting endeavors. So I think that's the main reason why I've never decided to actually give it a go. That with, you can snap your bones, rip your tendons and all that, which I know you can do that in anything really, but like I kind of like horse cocking too much to be able to have to put it all on the back burner to learn this new skill, That's also a reason why, like, I tried doing Muay Thai for a little bit, but it was just like, because I wanted to do it for like conditioning. But then I'm like, I'm doing this, then I don't have time to horse cock as much. And like, if I'm picking one or the other, I don't want to have to like take days off from lifting. Like the lifting is the name of the game for me. You know what I mean? Like it's what I truly enjoy. The wrestling's a bit different because I already know the skill. Yes, I can refine it and get better at it if I had someone to scrap with. But I've spent 15 years learning that sport, so like I have a grasp on that. I don't want to spend 15 years learning arm wrestling or Muay Thai kickboxing and stuff. Oh yeah, barbell exercises, the only horse compounds you do. Barbell? No, dude. No. Dumbbells, kettlebells, sandbags if they're heavy enough. I like doing horse cocking machines even. Like machines are great to horse cock. The hammer strength unilateral or the iso row. You know what I mean? That thing is great to load up with as many places as you can. Turn it into a full body exercise. Like anything can be horse cocked. Heavy dumbbell sheet rows. Yeah, I mean, all that's, it's just, horse cocking's a mindset. You know what I mean? Not to take technique too seriously, to go all in, to hoist it with, I don't want to say, ballistically. Like what is horse cocking? I think horse cocking is ballistically hoisting tremendous loads with not too much obsession of flawless technique. I think that would be a good description. And you can do that with anything. That's why you can horse cock a human, all right? Not in a sexual way, but in a very masculine, but I guess a human, yeah, you get what I'm saying. Bags, yeah, I say bag. Straight bar, tricep push downs have been a great bench. Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, a lot of things. Like the cable stuff, a lot of people consider cables pencil necked, and it depends how you're using them. They absolutely can be pencil necked, but like it's true. Like just heavy tricep push downs, it's hard to beat that. Yeah, skull crushers are great, behind the head, extensions, whatnot, but like the cable, you can load that sucker up heavy. You can do it strict, and then you can get your body into it. It's just it's a great tool that you shouldn't scoff at just because it's a cable. Rings and kettlebells are not to be slept on. Absolutely, man. Kettlebell snatch takes extreme horsepower, okay? Yes, Pencilnecks can do it with pencil neck weight. Try to kettlebell snatch a heavy ass kettlebell. That is a true exercise. Frick. I gotta pee so bad. Thoughts on rugby? Rugby's cool. Some people say it's just football without the pads, right? So take some tremendous freaking leg power, probably a bull's neck. Yeah, I mean, it's just freaking, what else can you say about it? I'm sure if I was like born in Australia or something, I probably would have played rugby. Freaking A. Gold. Okay, you're 20 and you want golden tidbits. All right, freak. 600-pound deadlift. I want to hit the big 660. Yeah. What should I focus on? Romanian deadlifts first and foremost. That's, you know, my tidbits are always going to be the same because it's the truth. Romanian deadlifts, absolutely. I would do, you know, like I've said in every chat now, reverse band deadlifts or band resisted deadlifts. Use both of those. I mean, brother, it's all the same stuff. So basically, to get the 660, okay. Like, if you want the quickest route possible, because obviously I could tell you all these different exercises. So, oh, I already knew those. Yeah, sure, okay, whatever. I would honestly just focus on heavy ass, top down Romanian deadlifts. Not the ones where you deadlift off the floor and then do a Romanian deadlift. Off the rack, those have been my go-to for strengthening my conventional deadlift, unlike anything else. And when you do deadlift off the floor, what I would do is I would put a ton of band resistance. And then, like, say you're starting with one plate, I'd put like 4 or 5 bands of resistance. This is the way you're gonna be tricking your mindset to lifting more weight. Because when you're at 2 plates and 3 plates, you're like, it's only 3 plates, I deadlift 600 pounds, right? Well, you don't really know how much weight you're actually lifting because you're gonna have 4 additional bands of tension. So in your mind, it's gonna be 3 plates, but in reality, it might be already over 600 pounds. So this is how you're training your body without your mind getting in the way. When you're up to 4 plates, then you strip another resistance band. So now you got 4 plates plus, you know, 3 bands. You're up to 5 plates, you got 3 or 2 bands of resistance, right? So depending on the tension you're using, this has always worked well for me because once I'm at, like, you know, 5 plates, 6 plates, I'm like, oh my God, that was hard. And then I take the resistance bands off that and that shit blows up. I'm like, oh my God, I'm way stronger than I thought I was. Because those resistance bands are adding so much tension. Yes, not directly off the floor, but like if you have 6 bands of added resistance, you're doing hundreds of more pounds, like mid, you know, to lockout. And you don't realize how that's priming your nervous system up. So now once you get to that raw dog weight without the bands, like, you're gonna surprise yourself with how strong you are. Those are the 2 things, the heavy ass Romanian deadlifts. Don't do pencil neck, high reps with them like a lot of people do. And again, don't deadlift it off the floor and then go into the Romanian deadlifts. Unrack it from the pins, top down, just below the knees, you know, sets of 1, no more than 3. Heavy as fuck, right? You know, and unrack 660 pounds and control it the best you can, you know? Like, if you can't, you just did a Romanian deadlift and it was a grinder at, you know, 630 or whatever, put the 660 on. Unrack it, feel it, lower it, you know, as slow and controlled you can past the knees, hold the isometric, and then just, you know, fail from there if you can't get it back up. That's fine. Feel the weight. And also, the last thing I'll say, but nobody has access to them, is the weight releasers. Romanian deadlifts, the weight releasers. I've done like a negative with Romanian deadlifts with like 900 pounds. And when that extra 100 plus pounds falls off, like those mid 700s feels easy. Like, how is that possible? Well, because the freaking 900 pounds you were feeling on the negative. But weight releasers are hard to come by, but bands are not. So that band technique and the Romanian deadlifts, you have to do that. That's how you're going to get to it. I'm telling you. Okay, how about RDLs with dumbbells? Yeah, but you can't go as heavy. And then if you're using dumbbells, you have to pick them up off the floor. So it's not going to be nearly the same stimulus. Johnny, comment writer, dodging the question about what you're asking about the culture and whatnot. Dodging. Listen, that's there's a lot of things involved with contractual obligations and in the entertainment business industry that you don't ever want to. You can't shine lights on things due to, you know, potential lawsuits and things of that sort. So, but the main thing is, like, staying with his. I don't think there's anything wrong with being optimized per se. It's if, you know, physiologically the lowest end, the highest end, you know, being right around here. If you love lifting and it's helping your endeavors and whatnot, and you're healthy doing that, I don't see anything wrong with it. You know what I mean? If that's your passion And again, like you're on top of health and whatnot, then you're on top of it. And you're probably going to be healthier that way than sucking down, gallon of chocolate milk, eating, Wendy's, trying to get frickin' as bulked up as possible. I think it's when you're going far above that and you're destroying your body and your health and whatnot, that's the problem. And I feel like that's an easy rabbit hole for people to go down. But of course, because it's all about instant gratification in humanity, basically. Everyone wants everything as quickly as possible, but the quicker you get it, the quicker you lose it. You know what I'm saying? Back injury from deadlifts, and I'm using deadlifts to recover. Yeah, the muscle got injured, and I atrophied there because I was too afraid to use the muscle again. Now I do way easier deadlifts. Okay, well that's the way to do it. Like, wait, you got a back injury from deadlifting, so you got to think then that you probably had a form breakdown due to, muscularly your form broke down. So you're weak in something. So it only makes sense to reverse engineer and go. It's okay to do a pencil neck weight because you're rebuilding. And that's kind of what happened to me with deadlifting too. For the longest time, I was freaking rounded back to the wazoo. That's why my behind the back deadlift was so good. Because like the lockout didn't matter. If you could have a shrimp, crab, you know what I mean? Just absolutely disgusting cat back, and you could still lock it out. Whereas with conventional deadlifts, you could break it off the floor, but you couldn't round it out. So like when I had my first, the ACL meniscus surgery, and I couldn't use my quads anymore for like, a few months, I was forced to deadlift with straight legs. And yes, absolutely. Very pencil neck, starting with, 300-400 pounds with the Romanian deadlifts. That's where I first discovered that. Just super slow, freaking eccentric, stretching it out. But then what that did was it basically like fortified my hamstrings, my low back, my glutes. So now when I could start using my quads again, like my deadlift was better than ever. So like you're saying that you hurt your back deadlifting, now you're rehabbing it with deadlifting, but just using lighter weight, easier deadlifts, now I do way easier deadlifts. Easier, probably lighter, right? So the point is, if you stick with that long enough, you're gonna freaking fortify yourself. You're probably gonna strengthen your weaknesses so that when you do get back to the horse cocking, you're gonna be a better built, more well-rounded deadlifter that's gonna be more successful, basically. So there's nothing wrong with, I think, peeling back and refining the technique in waves though too. But I think it's everything's kind of a towing the line, a conundrum, because you don't want to hyper analyze technique because that's going to kill your strength. But if you just are gripping and ripping with no consciousness about your strengths and weaknesses, you're going to plateau and you're never going to break free from it because those weaknesses are never going to be strengthened, right? So I think you just do things in phases, or you just specifically, throw in lots of back extensions or something to strengthen the posterior chain. Anyways, this is supposed to be rapid fire. We're getting way too off topic here. Bands are good for progression on your standard lifts. Also, if you're traveling to spice up some pencil. Yeah, but here's the thing with the bands. The machines. Bands are great on machines too. Yes, you want to spice things up? Bands are great, and I say this because some machines are limited in weight. Some gyms, if you're traveling, are limited in weight. The bands, you're basically just bringing weights with you. There's like some machines that I had access to that didn't get very heavy. It's like, frick, this machine's good. I feel like this is a good one to, finish my workout with, but it is a bit too light. You strap 3 bands or even just one strong band on there. Now all of a sudden, this machine is heavier than you could ever have needed it to be. Same with like some hammer strength machines, like the pulling ones, only can fit 5 plates on or whatever, depending on the gym you go to. And it's freaking good, it's good, lat stimulus just for horse cocking. It's too easy though. You strap some band tension on, and all of a sudden that sucker is so brutal, you feel like you're gonna snap a lat or a bicep, right? So that's why those bands, I always carry heavy, medium, and light bands in my duffel bag when I go to the gym. It's one of the things, it's a must to bring with me. Because absolutely, or you can use them if you have plateaued on a weight and you want to keep pushing the weight, but you can't do it, you can just strap the band to give you a little assistance. Basically like a slingshot in a way, but without having to wear a slingshot, Oh, wait, what? Man, you just pick one comment and talk about it like 10 damn minutes long. What are you talking about, bro? So, what do you want me to do? I have a lot to say. I feel like I've talked about almost every comment here. Less range of motion and less weight, and add more weight, range of motion over time and weight. Sure, yes, that's one way to do it. Deficit push-ups with bands now. Yeah, that's another thing too. You go to the gym, you got a lot of bands, you want to do push-ups. Something I've kind of discovered a couple of years ago was with the safeties in the rack. You just loop the bands around the safeties on the lowest setting. You crawl underneath the bands, and then you can do push-ups with the freaking bands. You can have, depending on how many bands, you can make that sucker hundreds of pounds of resistance. The power twister, oh yeah. I had Eugene max out on those power twisters. Those things are great. And that's another one. You can bring to the gym. You could be whether you're pulling, you want to freaking, superset it with a chest contraction, or you want to freaking, after you're benching or you're pressing or something, it's an isometric basically. Yes, you can crank them, but you can freaking also I think holding that isometric is the best thing with it, because obviously it's a spring. So here there's no tension, the power twister is almost like band in itself. Okay, any tips of crippling elbow tendonitis going on 6? Yes, I do actually. You got to work your forearms more, because I've had elbow tendonitis from many times, and the only things that ever help are, and also you should get like a cuff or some sort of, compression, roll it up so that it compresses right here, and then just pump those forearms up as much as possible with whatever means, with a cable, with a dumbbell, with a plate or something like that. And then you're getting that blood flow restriction too. So these forearms are gonna get so engorged of blood, and that blood is what's freaking healing, right? So if you pump up like that, that's gonna help you get over that tendonitis way faster than if you're not doing anything. Am I a gamer? No, but I mean, I used to be as a young teenager. Not young, but well, yes, young, and then also like up until 20 probably. But that was a long time ago, fellas. Organize your CPAP appointment. No, I have not. I know I should. My wife just said the other day that I was snoring so loud. Frick! I was hoping that didn't have sleep apnea, but I think that. But it's only when I sleep on my back. It's only when I sleep on my back that I snore so loud. Do you know Nkiri from Nkiri Fitness? His training seems exactly. Yeah, I know what you're saying. I do know him. Of course, I know him. I don't know him personally, but I do think that he gives good advice, and yeah, I think he's a solid resource for for strength and athleticism for sure. Yeah, real ones know Ricky played Morrowind. Yes, you're absolutely Elder Scrolls. I did. There's also another like RPG I played. Baldur's Gate was another one. Stick, answer the super chats, please. I thought I already did. What did I miss? Didn't I answer them? Freaking A, brother. Oh shit. Favorite ab exercise? Hanging leg raises. Hanging leg raises. And then you put a freaking, with weight, obviously. You do isometric. You could squeeze medicine ball between your knees, hanging leg raise, solid. Or you could do freaking isometric, where you get your legs up, have someone put like a plate or something on, heavy ass isometric hanging leg raise. Oh my God, dude, there was a ton of these. I'm sorry. Fuck. All right. Favorite. Okay, yeah. How did I miss so many comments? Love lifting heavy weight, but us folks in the gym lift pencil-neck weight and look jacked. Do you think you have still built physique same way if you use lightweight? No, I don't. I think you get. It's hard, brother. It's gonna be hard because you don't know why people look jacked, right? But I think that when you're building actual strength with heavy weight, you're getting the thickness to you. Whereas a lot of people that look jacked, they could have, pumped, glycogen-loaded, watery muscle bellies, the voluminous, but they don't have any thickness. So it is a distinct, and it's power. You know what I'm saying? It's a huskiness that comes with strength. When you see a strong person, right? But pencil neck only is not going to get you. I mean, sure, you can get places training, I guess, with just pure pump, but you're only doing yourself a disservice by not getting as strong as you can too. How do you bulletproof your joints like elbows? Isometric strength, collagen and stuff. I've tried collagen supplements. I mean, like, I probably haven't given it too long of a go, but apparently with the collagen, you want to take it like 30 to 45 minutes before you go to the gym, because it's not so much like the collagen protein, it's like the signaling. It's a peptide, basically. Collagen is a peptide. So it signals your body to like repair. So you have to do it 30 to 45 minutes. If you're trying to, like, if you got elbow pain, 30 to 45 minutes before you're doing like heavy pressing or something like that, with vitamin C, paired up with vitamin C. It's certainly not going to hurt. I think there were studies showing that it helps a bit, but I don't think it's going to help as much as like isometrics and heavy controlled loading, or like moderate and high frequency. So not like grinding reps out, but like the thing with tendons is, from my understanding, they like high frequency. Okay, so I think a problem where people might get themselves in is if they're lifting heavy like once a week or even less than that, because then their tendons aren't building up that resiliency. Whereas if you're doing something every day, and obviously I'm not saying you should train, although I think you can. I'm training. I'm starting to get back into this specializing phase right now, just because I'm so limited on what I can and can't do. So I'm starting to do incline pressing almost every day, and I'm getting stronger with it, right? You just got to be smart about how much you're grinding those final sets, right? But if you have like a higher volume day, a low volume day, high intensity day, low intensity day, you just got to be methodical on it. But like over time, your tendons are going to get strong as frick, because they're being demanded so often, as opposed to like once a week or something where your muscles are getting big and strong, but your tendons are being not used very often. Because muscles and tendons respond differently to stimulus, or recover. Obviously, everyone knows recover differently too. Do I ever go back to UW? No, not in a long time. But part of me has an itching to go to the wrestling room, because I do want to wrestle and I want to scrap, you know? And I feel like that I'm an alumni there, so I feel like I would be able to. Ricky's Rotund Raspberry be available in the EU. So the problem with that is Ricky's Rotund Raspberry is loaded with two different isolated forms of yohimbe, right? Alpha yohimbe and yohimbe hydrochloride. Both, I believe, are banned in Europe. Yohimbe is banned. So that's the problem with it. But that's mainly where all the firepower comes from in that pre-workout. Paraplegic lifter, weighted pull-ups, 32.5 pounds wheelchair, 80 pounds on the weighted vest. Good job, brother. 295 bench, but I feel like when I go heavier, I'll do better, as I've left 225 in the bar. That's awesome, brother. Kudos to you, man. You know, that's making the most out of something. Shoot for the freaking stars, you know? Shoot for, what are you going for? I mean, obviously it's easy to say that, but 80 pounds on the weighted vest, you know, make it 100. Set goals, write the goals down. Listen, I had a post at one point where I was talking about it. I had a post on YouTube, and I asked the comments if I should go for like a X amount of, like 950 trap bar deadlift, what was it, 880 plus or something behind the back deadlift, over 800 Jefferson, something over 600 Zercher. I can't remember what it was. And obviously everyone gave their response, but then this was a post I made a while back. And I stumbled upon it, and I was like, damn, I surpassed every single one of these. And I said it was pretty cool to see that. And someone reached out to me that studied this kind of stuff, as I don't know, for their PhD or something. And they wrote to me, I can't remember the specifics, but they wrote to me that the power of writing down goals, it's more powerful than people realize. And I don't know if it's because it's like, conceive it, believe it, you know, put it out in the universe. You're visualizing it when you're writing something down, you're putting it in stone. You're seeing this goal, right? And it's reminding you, because like when you're going to the gym and you're just doing random stuff, you don't have the same drive as if you're looking at something, you're like, I will do this. I will, you know what I mean? It's freaking conviction that comes with it. I don't know the research. Hopefully, I wish that guy could, you know, chime in, but I know it's not possible, especially with all these comments to go through. But I guess what I'm trying to say here is, you know, write your goals down and just look at them from time to time, because otherwise you're just half-assing it. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I want to be strong. I want a big bench or whatever. Yeah, you want, but what do you want? What do you really want? And how are you going to do that? You know, and it all starts right here. the foundations I had in general. Okay, this is about the injury one. Have I ever used a gym pin on machines so you can horse cock more? Absolutely, I have. And then the funny thing is, I misplaced it. I couldn't find it, so I stopped using it for a long time. And then I'm going to the gym from time to time. I'm using machines. I'm like, damn, this machine is too light. I'm like, what the frick, man? It feels good. Like, for instance, like the freaking chest fly machine. You know what I mean? You horse cock that whole stack, no problem. And it's a freaking, great pump, great way to finish the day. But I'm like, I just wish it could go heavier. Oh, freaking gym pin. So I just found it, and I'm so excited to start incorporating it again. Because again, like machines, like, yeah, they have value. The problem is, are they going to provide as much freaking tension as loading up this free weight with, 500 pounds? And a lot of times the machines aren't designed for freaks. You know what I mean? So a lot of the machines are very easy to max out once you become like an intermediate lifter, right? But they're not designed for just true horse cocks. Right, and I feel like in the 80s they were. I saw a calf raise from like the 80s that went up to like 1,000 pounds. I'm like, that's awesome. Why do they not make this kind of stuff anymore? You know what I mean? Now all the machines, like if you have a 315 bench, 405 squat, 495 deadlift, you can probably max out every single machine at the gym. So that's the conundrum. So yeah, I think a gym pin is an awesome tool. I just, I know from experience, I think, have I ever broke a machine? I mean, I've seen plenty of clips of people, but they'll load up the thing, and some machines' cables are old and whatnot, and then they end up like snapping, and that can be dangerous too. I think if you're doing like a seated row with tons of weight and the thing snaps and you go flying back and break your neck or something. But I mean, that can happen with anything, right? Oh, frick. I gotta tinkle so bad. I'm gonna about wrap it up here. I gotta go to the gym. I gotta tinkle so bad. All right, I just hit 200 kg conventional deadlift, 440, 84 kilos, okay, at 5'8", have not squatted or benched. Gym has no power rack. What's next? Should I bulk? Okay. You haven't squat, brother, you should just do the Zercher squats then, right? If you got a 440 pound conventional deadlift, from my experience, you can probably, you could easily do 400. You could put 400 loaded up on your lap or on your, mid thigh, squat underneath it, Zercher squat it for reps, all right? And will be at your most. So like, even with 315, if you have a 440 conventional deadlift, mid threes squats is gonna be pretty punishing with the Zercher squat. I think you should do that. I think that's only going to help your deadlift as well. The Zercher squat is a great assistance movement for your deadlift, and you don't need a rack for that. Haven't squatted or bench. Okay, as for the bench one, I mean, I would just do clean and press. Unfortunately, you're going to have to just do high rep overhead press, but then you can do handstand push-ups as well, and just normal push-ups. I don't know if you can kind of floor press. That might be a pain in the ass. I guess you could roll it and you would have to hip it up. You know what I'm saying? Like roll it over your legs, hip it to floor press it, but you don't really need it. I mean, lots of push-ups, honestly, are probably going to develop your chest. You're not going to get as powerful and massive as you would with the big bench press, but the handstand push-ups are definitely going to be good freaking tension. And obviously you can warm up for those with the clean and press. But I would do the Zercher squats for sure. That's only going to help your deadlift. You don't need a rack. And I would say, in all honesty, with enough creativity, I mean, you can do a lot of stuff without a rack, and you might get farther, because when you're limited, I feel like you go above and beyond. Like, unless you had every other, above and beyond versus having every tool in the gym where it's like, I'm gonna use this, and this. You just have this barbell and nothing else. It's like, okay, I gotta get nasty with this. I gotta get creative. I gotta hoist unique ways possible. And then eventually, once you do have a rack and all that, I feel like you're gonna be this more sophisticated, well-rounded lifter. And I mean, a Zercher squat, like, the more reason people do that, like, it's a freaking great movement. My best from the floor into my lap, then Zercher squatted up. Deadlift from the floor, put it on the knees, Zercher squatted up was, I believe, 605 only, because it's freaking hard, okay? Could I do more? Maybe, but it's freaking hard. And I certainly wouldn't be able to do reps with that, you know what I mean? So I think that's your go-to movement right there, no excuse. I should probably start wrapping it up here. Let's see a couple of these upper lower split for baseball. Yeah, absolutely. I think upper lower split's the best for both size and strength because isn't scientifically proven that the more volume, 2 to 3 sessions a week, anyways, is optimal, right? And I don't even care about that. I'm just using that for all the people that are non-believers because I've discovered that on my own through my own experience because I was doing push pull legs for a long time. Then eventually I switched to upper lower. And with upper lower, I was like, damn, I'm getting even stronger with this. And like I said, I think the ideal setup for it doesn't have to be so particular, but your upper would be a push emphasis. Your lower on Tuesday would be a freaking squat emphasis. Your upper on Wednesday would be a pull emphasis, and your lower on Thursday would be a hinge emphasis. You do that, and then I think you're solid. Oh man, thoughts on glycerol? So glycerol, I mean, I like it, right? But I don't know, like, the powders that have like a couple grams, like, I don't know, because I'm drinking the syrup right now, so I'm getting 20 to 40 grams of it, and I think from my understanding, as well as everyone that's ever talked about glycerol, is like, your body can handle boatloads of it safely, and it just hyperhydrates your cells. I think it helps with hydration first and foremost, but then also fullness because of the hyperhydrating factor, which is also good for pumps because like citrulline and arginine, agmatine, and all that's nitric oxide production, whereas glycerol is a totally different mechanism for pumps. So like I feel like if you have the means of like you can afford it, no problem. Not that it's super expensive, but like if money is not an issue, I would absolutely use it. I use it every workout. Alrighty. Rather be hairless or have a high-pitched voice? High-pitched voice. High-pitched voice is full of energy. Have you ever noticed that as you get older, your voice gets more rugged, more raspy, right? That's just the way it is. Look at any like singer, especially of a rock band or something. As they get old, they get all grizzled. Their voice gets worn out. Also, everyone that has an old raspy voice is, your voice just gets aged. So a high-pitched voice almost is like a sign of energy and youth. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, it's a high-pitched voice, but it depends on how high. But also, like, is there anything really wrong? Yeah, some people might laugh at a high-pitched voice, but you might have a freaking insane high, yeah, right, amazing falsetto, just a gorgeous singer. And so then, and you could say, well, I mean, damn this high-pitched voice, or you could say, you know what, is this a blessing or is this a curse? And really, it's just a means of how you view it. So what is a blessing to one man is a curse to another, and vice versa. Thoughts on Bruce Lee training? Honestly, I'm not too well versed in Bruce Lee training. But from what I understand, I think it's, a zillion reps of stuff, density training for the most part. I think everything is good as long as you don't over-obsess about it. And I think as long as you sprinkle in a little bit of everything too, like why would you not want to do that? It's just like the horse cocking, endurance stuff, pump stuff. Like the answer is to do it all, and I don't want to say the jack of all trades because the jack means that you're good, you're not the best. Let's be the freaking best. Let's be the ace of trades, of good. And I think the main thing is you just specialize in one thing from different phases, right? Power phase, conditioning phase, pump, whatever, density phase, whatever the frick you want to call it. Any new songs getting you pumped lately? What you listening for while lifting? Dude, what are some new songs? So the funny thing is, back in the day, you would learn stuff and you would know it so well because you'd buy CDs. And if you hated the CD or hated the album, you'd be like, damn it, I wasted $20 on this. So you're just listening to it over and over again. You're learning every freaking song. Like, so for instance, Vital Remains is this death metal band, right? Just crushing, brutal death metal. It's very redundant, but it's also awesome. And I bought the album, so I listened to it a zillion times. But now if I'm on Spotify and I hear something and it's a bit redundant, I'm just going to go to the next thing. I don't give it the time. Do you know what I mean? So when you're talking about like new things, I'm sure there are some new... Well, what's funny is I've been getting more into the band Architects. I don't know why I like fought it for a while. I think probably just because it was like new. It wasn't, like what's new is not cool. But that was a young man's mindset. But I mean, I feel like they're good groovy, good heavy, good melody as well. It's good lifting tunes, you know. But yeah, I don't want to take 10 minutes to answer each question like that one guy said. So I'm trying to get better about, you know, this is called rapid fire, and I'm not being very rapid with this, am I? I prefer weighted dips, but if I don't have access to dip bars, weighted push-ups can be loaded. Yeah, weighted push-ups are great. The only problem with weighted push-ups is they're a pain in the ass, right? They're a pain in the ass to get the weight set up. Okay, you seem like a VHS cassette kind of guy. Yeah, my first cassette ever was Ride the Lightning. The parents' minivan, Fight Fire with Fire, like, oh my God, the double bass, which is funny because now it doesn't seem like that heavy when we have exposure to so much more heavier. But at the time, you know, the parents blasting Fight Fire with Fire in the minivan, it was awesome. Yeah, see, Architects, yeah. It's a good band, man. I just fought it for some reason. But it's kind of like my Spotify is just forcing it upon me more and more. And I'm like, it's not bad, actually. All right, let's finish this one up. Meshuggah, absolutely, is always good, but I mean, everyone knows that. And that band's solid, groovy. Got to rig a sandbag on a pulley system for solo weighted push-ups. Oh, it's freaking genius. Yeah, well, also, I guess for the weighted push-ups, you could do, if you go to the gym, I guess you can use a Smith machine, right? You put it on one of the lowest settings, you load it up, and you just get underneath it and push it up. Double bass, life-changing, yes. Counterparts, I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I should check them out. Recently found a study that shows listening to Who Likes to Party by Kevin MacLeod. Brother, talk about classic. Degenerative disc for over 3 years, lost 25 pounds of muscle. Any go-tos to get back at it? Fuck, bro. I mean, I'm sorry to hear that. That sucks. Phantom Face, the new hat for the larger. Yeah, so let's talk about the regenerative disc. I'll talk about the hat real fast. Yeah, I do. Dark Tranquility. I love Dark Tranquility. They're good. It's not new, though, for me. But Empty Me, sick song. Lesser Fate, sick song. Where Death is Most Alive, I believe it's called. Yeah, that whole album, Fiction album. Yeah, sound solid. Atoma, good album as well. No, not yet, Phantom Face. Not yet. I've just been caught up in too many other things, but I hear you and I am on it. So the degenerative disc, I don't know, can anyone comment on that? I never had a back issue, fortunately, but unfortunately, so I can't really give you any golden tidbits on that. I would just be speaking out of my arse, so somebody else needs to comment on that. I'll look into it, though, for the next stream, because I'm sure there's plenty of things. I just don't know. I don't really know. Okay. Anyways, yeah. I'm going to wrap it up there because these aren't questions, just comments. But, brother, just be you. People primarily like you because you're genuine. Okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Thoughts on heavy sled pushes and pulls for distance, not speed. Awesome. Yeah. Just pushing, maximum weight, speed be damned. Yeah. That's better than speed, in my opinion. My deadlift, my behind the back deadlift was the strongest ever when I was doing the heaviest sled pushes. The only reason I stopped doing them as of recently, and I think it's just because I stopped doing them in the first place, but I found that like my Achilles was starting to really get irritated because you have so much weight on and you got this just extreme, freaking angle of your ankle. You're loading that Achilles so much, which is good, but not if it's, like you haven't done it in a while and all of a sudden you're pushing 1,000 pounds now. So I feel like I was going to snap my Achilles tendon if I would. But that's stupid of me because I could just start a bit lighter and build up to it. And obviously that's proof that that's a great movement for Achilles tendon strength, which is so important, especially if you're going to jump and run and stuff. Cataclysm, sick. Yeah, absolutely. I was the number 2 highest listener on the OG American Gladiators theme song. Wow, congratulations, brother. What an achievement. That's crazy. Right? And sometimes when Spotify is like, all right, you were the top 1% of bands. I'm like, holy shit. In the entire world, I'm the top percent. I'm like, am I that much of a loser? Not to say that you're a loser, but I'm saying, like, how are we, you know what I mean? Like, maybe it's just a personality trait. Like, when we hear something we like, we just listen to it a zillion times. Just absolute sicko in the head. Okay, use more belts. When is the running transition? I already did a little running transition, brother. I do need to get back to it, though, because I did feel pretty good when I was doing it, and it was very fun to make progress like that as well. Jeez Louise. Okay, let's see here. This, have a good one. Wow, thank you, brother. I appreciate that. DKK. What is that? Danish kroner? I just made that up. For the entire. Okay, cool. Yeah, they put the Achilles on blast, and so I guess what I'm trying to say, fellas, is push the sled. Don't push it too heavy right away. Build up to it, because when you're pushing a heavy sled with maximum gusto, you're going to get bulletproofed Achilles tendons. And if you care at all about tendon integrity, that's a very important thing. Because from what I understand, a ruptured Achilles tendon is a really bad, shitty injury, as all tendon ones are. Okay, but anyways, next walk through. Just got done training in my home gym. Oh, there you go, brother. Good for you. Home gym, guys, let me say something. If you go to a commercial gym, I still recommend getting home gym, some stuff for your home gym, right? Because the vibe, the attitude is just totally different with your workouts at home. I find that it's just more experimental. It's fun. You can totally change it up. You go to the gym, you kind of get your bread and butter, what you do, your things you like, your things you don't. At home, like, it's just, you just dick around and you find some truly gold that might work for you. Or you'll do reps, or you'll do weights, or you'll do anything that you wouldn't do. Whether it's, horse cock and a half, or it's pencil-neck, like, because you don't need to shy away from anything, because the world is your freaking oyster when you are at your home gym. After filming for it, would you have trained for American Gladiators any differently if you could do it over again? Yes, I wouldn't have bothered training the rings and stuff like that, the rope and all that, because that's what kind of got my bicep tweaked in the first place. Other than that, I think that everything was pretty solid, I would have done a few things differently. That's the main thing. But obviously you don't know until you know. You know what I mean? It's like any sport. You have an idea of what you need to do to get strong at this particular sport, and then you do it, and like, oh my God, that was totally different than I expected. And then that's where the wisdom and the experience, that's why it trumps theory, right? Theory is great in theory, but until you truly experience something, you have no idea what you're talking about. 1%, okay. Breathing down your neck, asking how many sets you got left, okay. I like that, yeah. Put the pressure on. Just discovered your channel a week ago. Okay, so this is good. God Bath. First time catching a live stream. Well, thank you for freaking tuning in. Just discovered the channel a week or so ago. I already hit new PRs. Wow, incredible. Well, thank you. I don't know how people even discover me in today's day and age with my garbage-ass mumbo-jumbo rambling. 3 hours of rambling. How do they decide who would do what events on Gladiators and how many events they got? Well, they had to rotate people, obviously, and then some people, injuries and things of that sort as well. So really, when you think about it, with the way that the filming was structured and stuff, some people would have to have breaks. You wouldn't want to put the same person in, 5 events in a row. So it's kind of really just a logistics thing, and you want as much flavor as possible because, if one guy dominates every event, like, that's cool, but that's also not very fun for an audience. So, it's seasonings. Seasonings are the spice of life, basically. So I think really what it came down to, though, is just putting, like, injuries, basically, and ensuring that people if they are injured, or you don't want them to be injured. So it's kind of like a rotation. It's like, all right, well, this guy just did this and this. Let's give him a break, and this person. Because really, I that stuff was all, I believe the season shot in like a week. So you got to think about that. It's a very, very long days. And the way that television's shot, like, you could be on set for 14 hours or whatever, and really you only have like a burst of, 2 minutes of action, but you got to be ready all day, right? And you got to get warmed up, and so it's demanding. The demanding part is the waiting around. All right, thanks for the years of the free content. Thank you guys for, giving me a platform to even give a rat's patoot about, that's the truth, really. A good rhomboid workout. Frick, good rhomboid workout. Well, I think the best thing you could probably do is a trap bar, hip, like bent over shrug, Kelso shrug. That would probably be a good rhomboid workout. But why would you just do rhomboids, right? So what I would do if I were you is I would just do bent over rows, and then as you fatigue, I don't want to say calcio shrug because I feel like the science-based community's kind of made that seem lame now. Like, ooh, this is a secret exercise. Even though it's been an exercise that's been around for, I think, the black and white days. I remember I bought a book that was in black and white about the calcio shrug. But it was kind of cool because at the time, this was like 15 years ago. I was like, oh my God, you can just retract your shoulder blades? So like if you're doing bent over rows, whether with, dumbbells, barbells, trap bar, whatnot, like why would you always not just finish off your rows with some just scapular retraction or even just like an isometric hold at the very end? And then also like another one, chest supported. Like I think that this is just money and nobody does this because it's kind of pencil neck, but incline bench, chest supported, I, Y, T, M, just holding that like scapular contraction as tight as you can with like, you don't even need much weight for that. 1 pound, 2 pound, 3 pound, but it's just immense. If nothing else, warm up, getting you fired, getting your upper back fired the hell up for your pressing. It's kind of like good prehab as well. Keep your back healthy. Anyways, I got to tinkle, guys. I'm literally going to tink my pants. I'm going to tink in my pants. Zamsky. Yeah, I thought I recognized that thumbnail. Okay, thank you for being here, my friend. Did they reach out to you for the role or did you audition? I auditioned. I absolutely auditioned for that role. Everything I got in life was me pursuing it. Nothing's been handed to me. You know what I mean? WWE, I had to freaking fight tooth and nail to get myself a tryout. It's not like I'm a celebrity, you know what I'm saying? It's not like, ooh, Rick Boogs, it's like I'm just a schmuck, just a schmuck hoisted in my basement. I said, you know what, frick, give me a chance. Let me show what I got. So, calling people, texting people, like, hey, who do I have to reach out to, whatever, getting a connection one way or another. It was the same thing with American Gladiators, really. I heard through the grapevine that they were bringing it back, and I was like, I just randomly emailed the casting director that I saw was involved. I said, hey, my name is Rick the freaking Stick. This is what I bring to the table. Here's some clips or whatever, like let me promo for you and whatnot, set up a Skype call or whatever, and just freaking did what I had to do there, and then we did a tryout, and I brought just superior gusto, and I just came freaking horse-cocked and a half, 100 push-ups in a minute, despite my tweaked bicep, climbed the rope super fast twice in a row, we did a little tussling, obviously, it's a specialty of mine. I did like 36 pull-ups, granted, obviously sloppy form, but who gives a frick? Seize the moment. Life's not going to give you many valuable moments, so never take them for granted. And it's kind of funny. Like, I'm going to wrap it up here. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for tuning in this whole time. But it's funny because, like, when I did the tryout for WWE, I didn't know anything about what I was like getting into, what to expect. I just think I read on like a really old forum that you got to be like in good shape. So I just started like running a lot, just doing cardio, doing some like a lot of kettlebell swings, squat jumps, that kind of stuff. I showed up to that tryout and I was like running circles around everyone. People were puking and stuff. I was like, why would you guys like have an opportunity like this and come out of shape? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it was hard at times, but like I just did basic conditioning stuff, and I think I was in the best shape out of anyone there. And also you fake it till you make it. Like, even if you're tired, you freaking put a smile on your face and like act like you're not tired. That's just wrestling 101, like competitive wrestling, stone face. Like if you got a nemesis you're freaking scrapping with, if you show them you're tired, they feed off of that and they come alive, right? Whereas if you don't look tired and they're like, oh my God, he's not even tired, and then they break. So yeah. Don't squander opportunities, guys. I mean, life's hard, man. Life does not give you money, freaking very valuable moments, right? So when you do get a precious opportunity to do something cool, like you want to hit a freaking grand slam home run. All right. Other than that, let's see. What is your cable kickback? Cable kickback? I mean, I'm not going to knock a cable kickback, though. It does come. I would say if, freaking before you press or something, you really want to, activate that tricep, get the thing freaking firing. Why not? But I wouldn't waste my time, too much time on doing that. I don't even know, dude. Oh, dumbbell? Or no, cable. Yeah, cable. Anyways, I got a tank. What is this? Been watching your videos for a few years. I got a tank so bad. I wanted to get into more niche lifting, but I don't know how. I can't think of a better teacher. Wait, He wanted to get in, but I lift by myself and don't know how. What do you mean? To do niche lifts? You just freaking go for it, brother. Just try it, you know what I mean? Like behind the backs, Zurcher deadlifts, Jefferson's, Reeves deadlifts, single arm Zurcher deadlifts, Zurcher squats, Arthur lifts. Like you can do anything you want. Should do a video about prison workouts. There's channels explaining how they get jacked with lots of short, fast reps and everything regardless. Yeah. So, you know, that's the thing. I did a workout and it was great. I did it a few times on my own, and then I think I got tweaked. That was one of my groin or something. I was doing the deck of cards, like the prison. You know what, they have the deck of cards, but they do the push-ups, the squats, the sit-ups, and whatnot. I was doing it with horse cock and stuff. Zurcher squats, pull-ups, push presses, or clean and press, bent over rows. Throw some incline bench in there for a little breather. But it's basically just like high intensity circuit training, like high intensity though, because you know you put a weight that you can do for maybe 10 reps max or whatever, and So then that way, if you have like an ace card, you gotta grind out 11 reps. You know, sometimes you're getting 3. That's a lucky break. You know, sometimes you're getting 10. It's not a good break, but like that's a freaking great conditioning. Great conditioning. Like I was sweating buckets, and if you can get it through a whole deck of cards doing that, you're gonna be in great shape. And that's a fun way to switch it up too. If you want to beat the monotony or the mundane, freaking repetitive BS of whatever you're doing, the same thing day after day, that's the freaking way to go, man. I mean, buy a deck of cards and do that. Just pick 4 cool exercises. You know, 2 of them that just, you know, clean and press and a squat, and then 2 of them that are more pump. And what a freaking great workout. Disney Hotel workout. That was a good one. That was a good workout. Yeah, I have bladder max, and this thing's gonna stretch the frick out. Sticky Ricky and Diamond Gym. You know what? Like the more with the Bill Pettis ultra high reps, the horse cocking, you know, throwing in the running and whatnot. Like a lot of people are like, oh my God, this is terrible. You're not even trained. I think like, if anything, would you do every session like that? No, but I think that that's absolute gold. You know what I mean? And maybe some people just don't like the delivery of it. But I mean, at the end of the day, really, you're freaking mindset training. You know what I mean? And that's going to get you a lot farther than optimal Johnny Scientist perfect program training. That's what I got to say about that. How do you change your training when you're cutting weight? That's a good question. So I'll answer that. And then I got a tinkle. You know, somebody just asked me this question actually, like, oh man, like I'm on a cut, I've lost weight, my training's suffering. Like, I'm like, dude, you have to train in what you're gonna thrive with. If you're bulking, horsecock weights, do the movements that are gonna benefit from a bulk, like squats and bench press and stuff. If you're cutting, you're losing weight, of course your squat, your bench press are gonna suffer and whatnot. You're losing freaking mass. Mass moves mass. So do things like weighted pull-ups because you're losing body weight. So theoretically, your weighted pull-ups should be improving. Weighted dips, pistol freaking squats, you know, stuff that requires more conditioning, high rep sets, 20 rep squats, because technically maybe you lost some power. You're not as big and bulbous and rotund, but you have less body weight. So maybe your gas tank should be a little bit better. So you'll hit a freaking 20 rep squat, Widowmaker PR, like that kind of stuff. Jumping, you know, things that you wouldn't normally do when you're big, bulbous, and rotund. And then when you go back to a freaking bulking horsepower phase, scrap that BS and just freaking horse it. You know, clean and press, squats, bench, incline bench, dumbbell rows, you know, that kind of stuff. Kitty. Oh, that's a good question. So yeah, that's how Kitty is. Kitty. Here's Kitty. 22 years old, I believe. Insane, right? I think she might be going for the world record. She might be able to be the world's oldest cat at some point. She's doing strong. She looks great. Healthy, good teeth, clean coat. Yeah. Good. All right. I got to tinkle and I got to go to the gym. I got to pick up my daughter in less than 2 hours. I still got to drive to the gym. With that being said, with that being said, I might just hoist weights out in the sun because then I don't have to drive to the gym. That's another good thing about home gym setup is you don't have to freaking waste your time driving to the gym. So in moments like this, like, man, I'm not going to have a perfect amount of time to horse, heft, and heave. Well, I'll just do it at home. So a lot of times when people say, hey, I got a kid, I don't know how to lift, I'm going to lose my gains. I'm like, that's perfect. That kid is going to sleep. That baby is going to sleep like 5 times a day. With every time they sleep is a moment for you to hoist. Now you're doing mini high intensity sessions, totally different than you would if you just had 2 hours in the gym. You feel me? Can you make more flexibility videos? Great question. I'm actually going to do this. I was talking about this with Eugene, and I was telling him, I was like, dude, I just got to start doing yoga. I have to start doing yoga because, like, I think the injuries are coming about more and more because as you get stronger, you get tighter as well, unless you actually stay on top of your mobility. So, like, that's the thing. Like, one way or another, you're going to need some flexibility because you're either going to get hurt, or if you don't get hurt, you're going to get so freaking tight, you're going to be stiff as frick, and you're going to eventually get hurt from being stiff as frick and hoisting weight. So I said it, but I need to do freaking yoga, but it sucks because I'm not going to horsecock then. I'm losing moments of opportunities to, you know, not even just for the fun, but then also like the brand. Like, you know, I'm not a freaking yoga pencil neck, you know, but then he said, no, this is actually great. He said, I would love to tune in. I would absolutely tune in if you got yourself like a personal session, yoga, whatever, you know, get a personal session, film it, right? Because it's one thing if it's a class, like people aren't going to want you to freaking film, like, you know what I mean? But if you get a one-on-one yoga session, I mean, that's actually a good point. And it would be good content too. And I feel like yoga is perfect because it's mobility, but it's also isometrics. You don't realize how much you're holding certain positions. And isometrics strengthen tendons. So now you're getting more mobility and you're doing isometrics for like an hour long. Like that's a freaking win-win. Tips on lifting while sick. I've come down with nasty sinus infection and want to keep horsing weights. Should I recover first or just get after it? So that's the thing. The harder you hoist, the slower your recovery is going to be. Like, you have to understand that. So what I would do if I was sick is I would just do one strength movement, and that would be it. Because when you're doing all the volume, you know, you're doing 8 different exercises, you're causing a lot of freaking damage. You know what I'm saying? A lot of repair your body has to do. If you're just hoisting one load, and obviously a few sets of it, but you're keeping your nervous system strong, you're getting enough tension for the muscle, but you're not causing extreme damage where it's going to be hard for your body to recover. So I would just do that. You know, and you're only going to be sick for like a week or so. So just like go to the gym, quick bench session or whatever, call it. Go to the gym, quick freaking, you know, weighted pull-ups or something, call it, right? You could do that in 30 minutes, and that might even be a lot of time for the one exercise. So quick exposure, and then I think that's your body's gonna have enough resources to still recover. But if you're in the gym for 2 hours and you're doing 10 different exercises, of course you're gonna make that recovery a lot harder on your body. Arnold, I mean, frick, man. Arnold ran too. Like, you read about how he ran to the beach with Franco, you know? Frick. Officially getting sore during strength training. The DOMS is on a level I never fathomed. Well, that's good. Eventually you'll overcome that. And that's the thing. Soreness doesn't matter, but soreness is good because you definitely did enough. You know what I mean? Soreness it's not like it's needed for gains, but if nothing else, it's like, hey man, you freaking did your due diligence. You horsed some serious weight. Daniel Johnson, thanks for the live today. You know, brother, it's been my pleasure. Other than having it tinkle so freaking bad, this has been fun. Yeah. Tried dropping volume for a while. Yeah, that's something I would do too. And if I do that, I guarantee my horse cockery is going to go through the roof because I've just been doing ultra high volume as of the past few months. Isometric piss hold. Yeah, the bladder is getting so freaking stretched out. It's crazy. Do you think you could do German suplex a kangaroo? I could, yeah. I don't know, but they're a bit girthy. You know, it depends on how ripped it is. Because, yeah, if there's one that's, you know, but they're pretty striated. Have you seen a kangaroo? They're actually very jack-stack striated. But, yeah, German suplex it. Why would I not be able to? For sure. Yeah, easy. Lifting heavy and running long distance is pretty nice. Yeah, and you're just super well-rounded then, too. And most people can't say they can do that. Most people that, you know, horsecock tons of loads can't run good. Or well, whatever. And then most people that are pencil neck runners can't horsecock mega loads. So you could be the best at everything, you know? I destroy peanut butter pretzels, protein shake, 50 grams of horsepower protein, but I'm staying the same weight and getting stronger. I don't understand. I'm staying the same weight and getting stronger. Oh, wait. Well, what's wrong with that? That's good. You don't want to gain weight too fast, right? If you gain weight too fast, you're most likely gaining a lot of fat. And I'm telling you, speaking from experience, it seems cool when you're putting a lot of numbers on the scale. The scale is getting heavier and heavier and heavier. But year after year, if you're gaining an extra, even, you know, 2 pounds of fat, you know, 5 years from now, you're going to be 10 pounds fatter. And it's not like it comes off easy. And that's ruining your freaking, nutrient partitioning, right? Because your insulin sensitivity is worse. You want to get as strong as you can for as lean as you can. And then obviously eat surplus, right? If you're trying to gain weight, you don't have to have mega surplus, but like, I wouldn't be upset about not gaining weight as fast if you're getting stronger. Now, if you were eating a lot and you're not getting stronger and you're not gaining weight, you just got to eat more food. Now, if you were gaining weight and not getting stronger, then I would tell you, let's stop gaining weight and change something up. You like the calf raise machine. Awesome. Yeah. Humble Bradley Martin in a tussle. I could easily humble him in a tussle. There's no question about that. I have immense experience in tussling. He has none. So it's not even a competition. I could be 100 pounds lighter and still ragdoll him. Yes, okay. Why do I never feel the actual muscle when I'm lifting? Nothing produces a burn, a failure. The weights just stop moving. That's fine. You don't necessarily have to feel a burn or the weights stop moving. That's the thing too. Like mind-muscle connection is, I guess it's valuable to feel what you're doing, to be in tune with your body, but it's not necessary. I think there was some study, some geeks made showing that like people felt more in their glutes with certain exercise than they did with heavy squats or whatever. But the squats, they didn't feel as much in their glutes, but they made better gains, right? So it's not what you feel that's going to lead to growth and stimulus. But that's not to say that you shouldn't try to feel something. I would just do like more like activation or isometrics or something to try to get better connection with your muscle, because it's not going to hurt, but I don't think that's also necessary. High volume goblet curls. Is it pencil neck or worth it? Well, I mean, is that where you're in a deep squat and you're curling in a squat? I mean, because it's kind of pencil neck, but it's in a good way in the sense that it's kind of getting you to focus on mobility as well. So, I mean, sure, I would do that, but then I would do some horse cocking curls as well. Right. A year ago, I reversed high A1C and dropped a ton of weight, but the subcutaneous belly fat was stubborn as hell. Yeah, bro, you don't have to tell me. That's what I'm saying about the bulking. Like, I got so caught up in bulking for so many years. And, when I started doing the conditioning cardio stuff and I couldn't hoist as heavy for a while, I'm like, I'm just going to get stripped and ripped. And I was really cut down on my eating. I was doing cardio. And I'm like, bro, I look exactly the same. Like this body fat. And I know it's just, you got to cut more and, up the freaking, cardio and stuff. Like it's not rocket science, but it doesn't come off easily. So that's the thing. Like, don't be too antsy to put tons of weight on, because it's not a good thing to put tons of weight on, right? If the strength is going up and you're not gaining weight, that's a freaking win, right? Now, if your weight is going up but your strength's also going up, okay, that's not bad, right? But when your weight is going up, your strength's not going up, that's when you got to put a stop to all of it. But, another thing too is if I could go back in time, I would have done a lot more like, I would have bulked, and then I would have done like a recomp more instead of just constantly trying to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the thing. Like I think a lot of it's the insulin sensitivity, right? The worse your body composition is, it just becomes like your body just becomes worse at being stripped and ripped, and it becomes better at storing fat. Like your body becomes more in tune with being a husky fat fuck, From Franklin, it's been fun seeing your success in WWE American Gladiators. Wow. Gregory Holmes. Right on, brother. That's awesome. Franklin, Sabres. Hopefully you saw my picture on the Wall of Fame and you got inspiration. You say, that can be me someday. What type of exercise would be best for core? I think I like the hanging leg raises, honestly. The weighted hanging leg raises, I feel like it gets the freaking low abs, gets the hip flexors strong as well, not just like purely an abdominal exercise. But then again, you're talking about core, and that's all of this. So, I mean, the Chinese weightlifters would argue with you that like the weighted side bends, they're doing all this kind of stuff before every session. Heavy, unilateral single arm farmer's walks, because maybe that oblique strength is what's most important for like your back health and your deadlifts and whatnot. It's hard to load hanging leg raises, and that it is. Medicine balls are the way to do it, or a dumbbell. You squeeze it, but dumbbell's harder to squeeze. But the medicine balls, if you go to a gym, a lot of gyms have medicine balls up to respectable weights, like 40 or so. But if you don't have that, I recommend Amazon, man. You can buy really cheap medicine balls. They have like a 20-pound one for like 30 bucks or something, and you get a 40-pound one. And I know it's like, it's money, you know, you don't want to spend money, but like, it's those things, if all you're using them for is weighted leg raises, they're going to last you forever. I got a tinkle, frick! Okay, you know, I could talk forever, guys. Kind of part of me wanted to make this shorter and just freaking, you know, do it more frequently, but make it shorter. But it's okay. Like I get sucked into it. So, anyways, I'm gonna wrap it up there, and hopefully, I mean, I don't know, maybe I'll try to do it twice a week or something. But this is good. This is good. Thank you guys for tuning in. We're freaking. This seems really long. 134 minutes. Okay, I think we got to call it a wrap there. Workout equipment is always available at used prices because people give up way too. Hey, absolutely, and that's what I tell people right now. When you're buying stuff, if you're starting a home gym, buy used, okay? Because new equipment is such a ripoff. Whereas you can buy, you know, used plates for under half the price. Bars you can get for, you know, a solid used bar for like less than $100. Whereas new, it's like, oh, $500 specialty bar. Like, you just got to shop Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace. You can get yourself a world-class gym for like a few $100. That's the way to go. Don't buy the new crap. All right. With that being said, I have to tinkle, frick.